Back at the 60th floor gate, Jupiter, who'd just been sent flying like a home run baseball, crashed into the fog with a thud that shook the ground. For a moment, all you could hear was the echo of that impact. Then, like some smug action hero, he casually strolled out of the thick mist, brushing himself off. He smirked. "Not bad. You've improved a lot, Kim Gigyu, especially for someone who's supposed to be an inferior version." Gigyu tilted his head, frowning. An inferior version? A few hours earlier, Gigyu's tower conference room. A voice had said earlier, a copy. An inferior version. Yeah, you could call it that. Your family, they're basically Gaia's obsession brought to life. Haisuk had been the one talking. Gigyu blinked at her. Okay, what does that even mean exactly? Haisuk leaned back. You said you met Cronus on the 50th floor, right? Did he tell you anything about Kim Se-jin? Gigyu nodded. Yeah, he said, the man who married Lee Soo-jin had you and Kim Yoo-jung. That's not me. Haisuk sighed. It's exactly like he said. Kim Se-jin is basically a Kronos 2.0, a new Kronos created by Gaia. This was before Kronos broke, back when Kronos loved Gaia and Gaia loved him. Her obsession and longing recreated that past family. But let me make one thing clear. You, of all people, are not a copy. Even if Gaia and Kronos were downgraded replicas, the child born from them is the true and original Jupiter. Gigyu's eyes went wide. Hold on, wait a second. If that's true, then that means the downgraded Gaia is my mother? No way! Both my mom and Yoo-jung are normal humans. Soo-jin cut in before the panic could snowball. Calm down, okay? I told you I'd explain in order. Kim Se-jin... it feels weird calling my parents by name. Let's just say father for now. She continued. Gaia wanted the replica of herself and your father to live a normal life. No powers, no miracles, just ordinary days in an ordinary world. Earth was basically a projection of that wish. But the day you were born, Kronos found out about you. And from that moment, he started plotting with the rulers to infiltrate Earth. In the end, Gaia had to give up her dream of a normal world. And that is how the tower appeared on Earth. She glanced at him. Starting to get the picture? Gigyu frowned, thinking hard. So the system and the players, they were created to fight back against them, weren't they? Soo-jin nodded. Exactly. To stop Kronos, Gaia had no choice but to connect Earth to the tower. Haisuk added, but even with all that preparation, Kronos' persistence was insane. He still managed to breach Earth once. He couldn't use his full power here, but still, Kim Se-jin, being a replica, couldn't beat the original Kronos. Oh, and you might not remember, but back then, Kronos actually took you once. Gigy's eyes narrowed. That explains it. That look in his eyes from my memories, like he wanted to kill me. Flashback. The world is wrecked, streets crumbled, buildings destroyed. Kronos stands there carrying a young Gigyu over his shoulder. Kronos looks at him and mutters, how pathetic. So this is the body of Jupiter I finally recovered. You've got power, but it's sealed away. And you're too young to be of any use. Worthless for now. Not far away, a battered man pushes himself up on one knee, gripping a staff. His face is bruised, his body shaking. Give him back, he gasps. That's Kim Se-jin, Gigyu's father. Haisuk is already face down on the ground, barely moving, her own body bruised. Otaegu is in the same sorry shape. Kronos looks at Se-jin. Give him back? That's a strange request. He was mine to begin with. What's wrong with taking back what's mine? Oh, and I'm not just reclaiming him. I'll be taking the scythe of time and space and the powers of God, too. Then something weird happens. Otaegu mutters, what the hell? Haisuk's eyes widened. Something's wrong. Little Gigyu, still on Kronos' shoulder, starts glowing with a bright blue aura. Seijin's face drains of color. No, that's the worst-case scenario. The young boy floats up into the air, perfectly still, the glow intensifying, and then he starts draining something from Kronos. Kronos screams in pain. Ah! Seijin's eyes widen further. This is bad. Kronos' mind is too much for him to handle. If this keeps going, Gigyu will be destroyed. We have to do something. But before he can act, he hears a voice. Seijin! He turns around and freezes. Gaia? Then his voice cracks. No. Sujin?
Mercenaries. Haisuk looks straight at Gigyu and asks, "Okay, so how much do you really know about the mercenary system?" And Gigyu's just sitting there like, they're basically a group that teams up with the association when needed, and they get all these perks and privileges, right? Haisuk shakes her head, kind of like, close, but not really. She tells him that, yeah, that's how it looks now, but that wasn't what the mercenaries were meant to be when they first started. Back in the day, they weren't just some hired squad, they were more like his personal bodyguards, formed by Kim Se-jin to protect him. And that's when it hits Gigyu. His face goes blank, and he mutters under his breath, "My father." The weight of it sinks in. Haisuk doesn't let him sit in that thought for long, though. She reminds him, it wasn't just me. Taegu, countless forerunners, all of us were mercenaries. We banded together to protect you, because if we hadn't, the whole world would have gone down. Then we cut to a flashback. Young Gigyu is floating in the air, glowing brighter and brighter, until suddenly he starts draining something straight out of Kronos. Meanwhile, Kim Se-jin, holding on to the scythe of time, turns and sees someone behind him. He's all confused, muttering, "Gaia? Wait, Sujin." Turns out it's a woman carrying a baby. She calls out to him, "Seijin." But Seijin's stressed out, rapid-firing questions like, "Why are you here? Even Yujong's here?" His panic level is through the roof. He snaps at her, "Sujin, run! I'll handle Gigyu." But she yells back, "Seijin, behind you!" He turns around, and yep, the nightmare is real. Kronos is already right there, stepping up with pure menace. His forehead veins are popping, his aura is insane, and he snarls, "I need to get them back quickly, the scythe of time and the power of God." Just when it looks bad, a swarm of chains come out of nowhere and wrap him up. Arms, legs, waist, the whole package. Kronos thrashes against him, gritting his teeth, growling, "Cook, you're in my way again." His face is twisted with rage, but he's still smirking like a maniac. Then he screams out, "Gaia!" as this glowing aura lights up her hand. "Why do you keep standing in my way? This is the only way to save Jupiter. Give me the power of God, and I'll make it happen." He's basically begging and demanding at the same time. But she shuts him down hard. "That's not Jupiter." Kronos freezes. "What?" She walks forward, heading toward little Gigyu, who's slowly descending, unconscious. She says it clearly, "This isn't Jupiter. This child is Kim Gigyu. And I'm not Gaia. I'm Lee Sujin." And she scoops Gigyu into her arms like the mom she is. Kronos loses it again. "Stop, Gaia! Are you really trying to save that kid with the power of God? Your body's already falling apart. You can't handle it." Meanwhile, Seijin's yelling her name, "Sujin!" But right then, pain stabs through his chest. He drops to one knee, clutching himself, blood in his throat, forcing out words, "Sujin! Gigyu!" Sujin looks down at the baby in her arms, her eyes filling up. She whispers, "I'm sorry, Gigyu. Mom can't stay with you any longer. But I love you, my son, my daughter." Tears stream as she closes her eyes. Kronos keeps raging, and Seijin looks horrified. But then there's this huge burst of light. Sujin's voice echoes gently, "Please wait for me, just a little longer." And everything fades. Back to the present, Gigyu sitting there, heavy with the story he just heard. Haisuk tells him the full truth. Sujin was about to sacrifice herself to save him. But at that critical moment, it was Kim Se-jin who stepped up. He poured out all of his remaining authority and life force into Sujin. That's how little Gigyu was saved, and how Kronos was driven away. But the cost? Kim Se-jin lost his life. And as his body vanished, one thing was left behind on little Gigyu's wrist. A watch wrist. Now, big Gigyu just sits there, clutching his left wrist like he can still feel that moment. Haisuk explains, handling the power of God with a broken-down body came with a price. Even with Seijin's sacrifice, Sujin was far from okay. And then comes the kicker. Sujin's illness later on, the elixir Gigyu used to heal her, that was the price she had been paying all along. Gigyu's left stunned, whispering to himself, "Did my mother know everything from the start?" But then he shakes his head. No, more importantly, what exactly is Yujung's true identity?
So Haisuk starts dropping some truth bombs. She's like, listen, Yujung, she's just human, a completely ordinary human. Turns out Lee Sujin and Kim Sejin didn't want power or glory, they just wanted to live normal lives. Yujung was the result of that wish. No fancy title, no secret bloodline twist, just regular old Yujung. Gigyu lets out this long sigh, like, got it. But you can feel the weight of it in the way he says it. Then Haisuk keeps going. She brings up the earlier question. Does Lee Sujin actually remember everything? The answer is, nobody really knows. Most likely she lost a lot of memories, but maybe a few bits stayed. Gigyu suddenly remembers the scene, his mom pale and weak on her bed, holding his hand, telling him there was something important she needed to say. She started with, actually, you're... But he never got the full answer. Haisuk pulls him back to the present and asks, now that you know the truth, how do you feel? Gigyu doesn't answer right away, but his face says it all. So she nudges him. Looks like you still have questions, huh? That's when he finally lets his feelings out. He says, so basically the world's crisis was caused by my parents, right? But they're also the ones who sacrificed themselves to save it. Still, while my mom, Yujung, and I were suffering all those years, why didn't anyone help us? His expression shifts into pure sadness as he adds, it's not like we were expecting much, but still. He cuts himself off, knowing it sounds a little shameless. He admits he understands the mercenaries gave up their lives to protect him. He knows he can never repay that debt, but deep down he can't stop thinking, but still. Haisuk immediately stops him. Don't say any more. I get it. Your feelings are valid. It must be painful to even say this out loud. I'm sorry for pushing you with such a heavy question. Both of them sit there, sighing. The atmosphere is heavy. Then Haisuk drops another surprise. Honestly, we forgot most of it too. Gigyu's like, wait, what? She explains how even she only recently remembered all this. It wasn't like she had completely forgotten Gigyu, Sujin, or Seijin, but it was like her memories were tampered with. The most important parts had just vanished. So Gigyu asks about the association chairman, Otegu, and Haisuk says he's probably in the same boat. Still, his son, Otesik, did end up helping Gigyu Scrownly in ways big and small. Maybe it wasn't fully Tegu's will, but some lingering memories must have nudged him. Gigyu thinks back. Taesik always claimed to be an old friend of his father, but now Gigyu's wondering, out of everything we've talked about, how much does Taesik actually know? And then a bigger question crashes in his head. Why would Gaia erase or seal everyone's memories in the first place? Even if Gaia and my mother are separate, my family was born from Gaia's will. So why make that decision? A decision that left us to suffer in silence. Haisuk gently offers a theory. Maybe Gaia wanted you to live as a human. Maybe she wanted you to live an ordinary life. That's just what I think. Sujung chimes in, backing her up. I believe Gaia and Lee Sujin were of one mind. When they sealed Jupiter, they also sealed everyone's memories. It was like putting up penalties, kind of like how the tower works. That's how it was set up. The real question is, why now? Why unlock those memories all of a sudden? Gigyu blurts out, exactly, why release the seal now? Haisuk explains they started regaining memories around the time Gigyu took the test on the 50th floor. It's probably because he had finally reached qualification. Gaia might have decided it was time to reveal the full truth. Then she looks him dead in the eye and says, this whole system exists for you. You are the protagonist of this world. Gigyu's brain practically short circuits.
He's like, wait, what now? In his head, he immediately imagines Lou laughing his weird little smile, going, protagonist? That's hilarious. Gigyu shakes his head. No way. The system can't be just for him. Maybe it's for more than just him. And then inwardly, his thoughts drift towards Jupiter. Cut to the tower gate. The fog clears, and we see Jupiter lying on the ground, sighing. So, that's how it is. In the end, I couldn't defeat you again. He looks beaten. Meanwhile, Gigyu stands tall in his gear, chaos sword in hand, looking at Jupiter with a mix of pity and determination. Jupiter says quietly, do what you want. Seal me again, destroy me completely, it's your right. But Gigyu steps forward and says, you once told me I am you and you are me. But you were wrong. I'm me, and you're you. So let me say it again. He stretches out his hand and tells him, join me, Jupiter. A few minutes later, ding! A notification pops up. He passed the trial. The tower gate opens. Gigyu steps out, sighing of relief. Whew, finally. He's back at the 60th floor base now. With his disguise mask still on, the sun hits his face and he mutters, so it's already been 3 months? Feels more like a whole year. Suddenly, a small voice chirps through his private line. Master, it's been so long. I missed you so much. Gigyu softens immediately. Sorry, Brunhart. It must have been tough waiting while I was stuck in that trial. I couldn't exactly take you with me. She reassures him. It's okay. But then something snaps in her memory and her tone changes instantly. Master, we're in trouble. We need to go back right now. Eden is at war. Brunhart's sudden warning leaves Gigyu no choice. Eden is burning in war. So Gigyu opens the chapter with this little smirk, like everything is falling into place just how he planned. Then we get a quick flashback to when he was still at the Gigyu Tower. A mysterious voice asks him, so, you're heading to take the 60th floor test now? And Gigyu answers calmly, yes. Lou and Elle are standing behind him, a few steps back, watching. But Gigyu keeps going, saying that if he wants to take down Jupiter, there's no better chance than right now. Elle starts to protest, but Lou cuts her off. Are you really okay leaving us behind? Facing that thing head on isn't going to be easy. Gigyu doesn't flinch. He stays firm and says, this is something I'll eventually have to do with my own strength. Then he brings up the real problem. Soon, thousands of players are going to descend on Eden. James Lohan, the Iron Caravan, overseas guilds, domestic guilds, all of them are planning to target Eden. To people who don't know the truth, Eden looks like some massive, unprecedented gate just sitting there waiting to be cracked open. Lou narrows his eyes and sighs, didn't you say you lost contact with Lohan? Gigyu scratches his head awkwardly and explains how Sujung beat Lohan up a bit, so yeah, communication was cut off. He adds a quick, sorry, like that somehow makes it better. Finally, he tells Lou and Elle, stay here, protect Eden, hold out for as long as you can until I get back. Back in the present, Brunhart is about to say something like, wait, I think I remember you mentioning that before, but Gigyu cuts her off. Anyway, we need to move fast. Don't you want to test your new power too? Brunhart perks up right away. Yes, both Rain and I evolved during the trial. The system even pops up, Ego Brunhart is evolving. Ego Rain is evolving. Brunhart gets excited and says, first, let's find a quiet place without people. We'll open a gate and head straight there. Gigyu nods. All right, let's go. And just like that, he vanishes into thin air. Meanwhile, on the outside world, the news is blasting updates on TV. A reporter announces it's been over 2 months since the Vanguard squad was dispatched into the supermassive gate above Seoul, Eden. Even the supply unit has lost contact. The Hunters Association is reviewing whether to send more troops. Inside Eden, things are grim. The Guildmaster mutters, we're screwed. They've been wandering in circles, food supplies are nearly gone, and there's a weird barrier blocking the upper levels, making scouting impossible. One of his subordinates suddenly shouts, movement ahead! The Guildmaster growls, already annoyed. Damn it, not those undead again? He orders his squad to prepare for battle. but then he freezes. Out of the shadows, someone steps forward. Long brown hair with a hint of purple, a sword strapped to the back, and the guildmaster realizes, wait, that face looks familiar. Aren't you Mistflower's guildmaster, Shin Yu-bin? And there she is, smiling politely. Hello, everyone. The guildmaster is baffled. What the hell? Weren't you missing for months? Yu-bin shrugs it off. Yeah, long story, but for now, I'm going to subdue all of you. The guildmaster's brain short-circuits. Pardon? Yu-bin adds, oh, and if I say anything weird during the fight, just ignore that, okay? Then it happens. Her hair turns fully purple, a heart-shaped tail whips out behind her, and 2 curved horns sprout from her head. She flashes a demon's grin and says sweetly, I hope someone lets out a good scream. Meanwhile, high up in the sky, Lu is flying on the Griffin King. He's sighing to himself, running his fingers through his hair. Tinch, it's turning completely white. I don't like this. Is it because of Satan's body I got back from Shin Yu-bin? That humanoid demon was white-haired too. The Griffin King reassures him that the operation seems to be going smoothly. We scatter the enemy, exhaust them, then subdue with minimal casualties. After that, root out the demons. Lu nods but frowns inwardly. Yes, smooth for now, but there's no way it's going to stay this easy. And then he spots them. Another group of hunters entering Eden, dressed in dark brown hoodies. Lu mutters under his breath, they've arrived, the true enemies of this war.
We jump back inside Eden, and the scene's already chaotic. A hunter is screaming his lungs out, clutching his body like something's ripping him apart from the inside. Before anyone can even react, the golden line flashes across his neck, slash! His head's done and he crumples to the ground. Turns out that was Elle's handiwork. She exhales with relief, wiping off some sweat and says, whew, that wraps things up here. But then she hears her name being called. Elle. She turns and sees Tao Chen walking toward her. He nods and tells her, you've worked hard. We're done here too. Elle shakes her head. No, you worked harder. You're not even part of our faction. Tao Chen just laughs it off. I was the one who made that unreasonable request to Morningstar. Honestly, I'm just relieved I could help at all. That sparks a flashback in his mind, back when he begged Gigyu, please help us. Elle sighs, but suddenly she freezes. Something doesn't feel right. What's this? Did demons invade Eden already? We expected that much, but these numbers... Her expression tightens. At least 10 of them are throne class, and 3 are demon king class? She immediately thinks of reaching out to her master, whispering, Master. Cut to another part of Eden. Hart, one of Gigyu's egos, is floating in the air. He's the undead soldiers' leader, moving without legs like some eerie phantom. He's already subdued by a group of hunters when someone steps out, greeting him. Great work, Hart. Hart nods. Thanks for recognizing it, hideous Duke. That figure is another of Gigyu's egos, Botus. Botus tells Hart, transfer them as is. The angel bitch already came by earlier. Hart responds, understood. His undead soldiers then drag away unconscious hunters, carrying them off like prisoners. Botus just stands there calmly watching them leave. But suddenly, ding ding ding, an alarm of sorts rings in his head. He stiffens. What's that? Something's coming. He can feel a powerful enemy aura closing in. And then he sees him. A human figure approaches, radiating a deadly presence. The man smirks devilishly. Botus narrows his eyes. Oh, it's been a while, Zephyr. Boom! Flames burst out around them. His horns flare into view as fire engulfs him as he charges at Botus with his sword raised. Zoom! The air tears apart as Zephyr lunges, shouting, You look like a mess, Botus. Botus doesn't even flinch. He closes his eyes calmly and answers, You don't look much better yourself. Then his eyes snap open, his aura explodes outward, boom, and the entire battlefield around them detonates. Back at the 60th floor base of the tower, Gigyu's trying to open a gate. A flare of energy appears but fizzles out almost instantly. Gigyu frowns. What's this? Why isn't the gate opening? Brunhair's voice cracks nervously. I don't know. It connected fine just a moment ago, but now I can barely sense anything. Gigyu clenches his jaw. I've also lost contact with the egos. Maybe the link weakened because we've been apart too long. Looks like we'll have to run there ourselves. All we can do is hope it's nothing serious. Back inside Eden, another battlefield. Lu and Leviathan stand across from each other, the air thick with tension. Leviathan lets out a mocking laugh. Well, well, we meet again, Lucifer. He cackles like a devil enjoying himself. Lu doesn't react to the taunt. His death aura rolls off him in waves.
His hands morph, transforming into monstrous claws, long and deadly. His black wings spread wide behind him as he growls, "The power I finally reclaimed? I didn't want to waste it on trash like you." Leviathan just smirks wider. Lu lowers his stance, his killing intent skyrocketing. "Consider it an honor, Leviathan. I'll personally rip out every last one of your teeth."
Inside Gigyu Tower, Sujung's just chilling with her juice, sipping away like she's watching a drama unfold. She turns to Ball and casually asks, "So, what's the situation?" Ball, of course all calm and glasses shiny, tells her Leviathan's already clashed with Lu. Out of all the possible outcomes they thought about, this is technically the best one, but there's always a catch. Meanwhile, outside, it's pure chaos. Leviathan summons this massive water dragon that charges straight at Lu, jaws open, teeth flashing like it's ready to tear him apart. But Lu, dude, doesn't even twitch. He just stands there like, "That's all you got?" And then bam! With one hand, he crushes that dragon to pieces. It bursts apart into hot mist, spraying everywhere, fog rolling across the battlefield. When it clears, Lu's already floating in the air, giving Leviathan the coldest glare ever. Leviathan tries to grin back all devilishly, but the moment he sees Lu standing there unfazed, that grin slips right off his face. Leviathan tries to clown on him, calling Lu a coward for hiding behind a barrier that separates friend from foe. He's basically like the big, scary demon king, reduced to hiding behind walls. Pathetic. Lu doesn't bother answering. He just snaps his fingers and unleashes a storm of swords, hundreds of them, slicing down like it's raining steel. Leviathan throws up his hands, and suddenly, whoosh! 12 water dragons appear, shredding the blades with their teeth like it's snack time. Lu clicks his tongue, muttering, "What'd you eat this morning? You're overflowing with juice." Leviathan just laughs, acting like he's already on top, taunting Lu. "Didn't you say you'd rip my fangs out? If you won't come to me, fine, I'll come to you." Next thing you know, kaboom! Leviathan transforms his entire body into one gigantic water dragon. His clothes and shoes fall off dramatically to the ground while he charges Lu head-on. He smashes into the barrier, shaking the whole tower like a mini earthquake. Back inside, Sujung and Ball feel the tremor. Ball calmly says, "The barrier's shaking. At this rate, 10 minutes max before it breaks." Sujung's still sipping her juice, unbothered, saying, "Well, it's all still within expectations, even if this is the worst-case scenario." She asks how the operation's going, and Ball smirks, adjusting his glasses, saying, "Smooth. Lucifer's putting on quite the performance. His act is working." Sujung laughs. "Acting? Please, Leviathan's just a meathead who can't resist charging in, pretend to be pushed back, and yeah, he falls for it. Can't believe such a lazy trick actually worked." Ball shrugs and says that just proves how well they studied him. Lu is conserving his power, but Leviathan is burning through his reserves. Then Ball casually adds, "And prep complete." Suddenly, a massive magic circle bursts to life around them top to bottom. Ball activates it, and Sujung's eyes snap into full demonic mode. The floor under them explodes with a thunderous blast. From afar, Zepar notices it, muttering, "It's starting." El catches on too, and even Yu Jung is like, "Wait, what's happening?" A dark purple aura spills out, forming into this huge four-pointed star. And then, Sujung appears floating midair, horns jugging out from her head, arms crossed like she owns the place. A glowing circle above her head, another beneath her feet. Full-on transformation mode unlocked. Lu glances over at her with a side-eye and a smirk, muttering, "Finally decided to show up? Guess you're done playing house with Ball." Right then, the barrier cracks apart and Leviathan slips through, but instead of charging Lu, he locks onto Sujung. He climbs up the side of the tower, gets close to her, and then asks with a strange look on his face, Are you even human?"
Sujung, smiling all calm and sly, asked, "Hey, got time to chat with me? Though you should know, I'm not really your opponent here." And Leviathan's like, "Huh? What do you mean?" Looking kind of thrown off. Boom.
Out of nowhere, Lou pops up right behind him, looking absolutely deadly. Leviathan's face is basically one giant question mark. Lou just smirks and goes, "I told you, Leviathan," while flicking his fingers together, thumb and middle finger ready to snap. "You already know something crazy's about to go down." He continues, all serious, "I'll rip out every last one of your fangs." Snap. The second he clicks his fingers, kaboom! Leviathan's dragon head literally explodes in this huge circular blast. Like imagine a water balloon filled with dynamite, just popping off. Water bubbles float around everywhere, but instead of vanishing, they start pulling back together, slowly rebuilding his head. Creepy as hell. And as this is happening, Leviathan is freaking out, muttering stuff like, "Wait, what is this? Didn't Lucifer lose his powers?" Lucifer. He's piecing things together, but Lou is not in the mood for a history lesson. Lou's just like, "Nah, bro," and keeps snapping. Every time he does it, Leviathan's dragon body blows up again and again. It's like a messed up magic show on repeat. Snap, boom, rebuild, snap, boom, rebuild. Meanwhile, up in the Gigyu Tower, Bao's chillin' like it's all according to plan. He's thinking to himself, "Yup, I figured. I'll leave Leviathan to Lord Lucifer." Then he messages Suzhong privately, like, "Hey, it's time. Let's start." And Suzhong's just like, "Okay, got it." Next thing, Suzhong releases this thick purple aura that spreads across all of Eden. It's wild, covering everything. Leviathan, who just finished fully regenerating again, stops and goes, "What the hell is this?" He can feel it too, this weird flow swirling everywhere. What he doesn't know is that this is Suzhong's special move, the Ink Flame. Over in another spot, Zepar suddenly senses it and is like, "Wait, what's this energy?" And Bodis, cool as ever, just mutters, "It's here. Farewell, Zepar." Cold, right? Zepar is still panicking like, "What?" But it's too late. The ink flame engulfs him. His eyes go blank. He starts screaming in agony, and his power drains fast. Meanwhile, Bao's still calm, totally unbothered, watching from inside the building. The ink flame is being boosted through this huge magic circle he set up together with Wang Jichel and Wang Che-Li. Here's the crazy part. This magic doesn't touch allies at all, only enemies. So enemies burn, friends safe. And when amplified like this, it's strong enough to wipe out throne-class demons in an instant. But Bao sighs like, "Yeah, too bad, it won't work on someone like him." And right on cue, Leviathan finishes regenerating again, looking smug, and goes, "What a cheap trick." Bao just thinks to himself, "Yup, as expected, don't work on someone like him." But then, the real curveball. Suddenly, footsteps echo in the distance. Two figures in hoodies walk in, super casual, like they own the place, not a care in the world. They're grinning weirdly like they already know something nobody else does. Turns out, these are Demon King-class beings too, allies of Leviathan. Everyone watching is stunned, whispering, "Wait, who are these guys?" The tension just skyrocketed. Meanwhile, outside Eden, things take a random but kind of funny turn. Some poor cameraman is stuck on top of a tall building filming the Wall of Eden. He's been stuck there for 2 whole months just recording nothing, probably wondering why his life choices led him here. He even mutters, "Seriously, what kind of scoop do they expect me to get out of this? Nothing's happened in forever." But then, whoosh, a strong breeze slams past him, so fast he loses his balance. He swears he sees blue and red lights streaking by, like someone sprinting at flash-level speed. He's squinting, trying to catch a glimpse, but nope, it's too quick. The gust nearly knocks him and his camera stand flat. He stumbles, falls, sits up all dizzy, and mutters, "What the hell was that just now?" Meanwhile, whoever that was just keeps darting from rooftop to rooftop, running like the Flash with neon lights trailing behind. So, in Eden, the ink flame aura is still swirling everywhere, filling the place with that creepy purple glow. Leviathan, now fully transformed, goes absolutely feral and charges at Lou. His dragon mouth is stretched wide open, roaring, "Lucifer!" Lou just sighs, looking annoyed like someone who got woken up from a nap. Seriously? Relentless as ever, huh? Snap. He flicks his fingers again and boom! Leviathan's giant dragon head explodes again. At this point, it's starting to look like a running gag. Sujong is just standing off to the side, watching carefully, thinking to herself, yeah, Lu looks like he's in control here, but let's be real, at this pace, Lucifer's gonna burn out first. That regeneration is insane. How did Leviathan even get that much juice? Meanwhile, Lu's own hand starts trembling. He mutters inwardly, is it time to use my full strength? Just borrowing a piece of Satan's body has its limits, but hey, even his regeneration isn't endless. Manifesting on Earth should come with penalties. This is a stamina fight now. If I can rip back the satanic flesh I gave him, I might turn the tide. But Lu holds back. He thinks, I can't go all out yet. Too many unknowns. There are still 2 other Demon King-class monsters lurking around. Wasting energy would be stupid. Then, over his private channel, he hears El's voice saying, hey, things aren't looking good here. We've finished up on our end. Do you need backup? Lu grins, but in that annoying way, and snaps back, shut up, pigeon. I'll handle my business myself. Then he kind of freezes, sighs, and mutters awkwardly, no, actually, fine. I could use a little help. El's eyes go wide. She's surprised, but then breaks into this bright, happy smile like she's been waiting to hear him say that all along. Lu quickly fills her in, and she's like, understood. Back in the battle, Leviathan is still locked on Lu, but suddenly, bam, a golden light flares up behind him. Leviathan's eyes widen. What? Divine power? He whips around and sees El standing there, glowing bright, ready to fight. He snarls, so the disgusting little sparrow was hiding after all. Lu cuts in sharply, calling Leviathan a bastard. Then suddenly Lu's power shifts, he unleashes his deathly energy and slash. A death claw attack rips through Leviathan's flesh. He staggers in shock as invisible wounds tear him apart, blood and scales flying. Lu calls out to El, your turn. And El doesn't hesitate. Okay. She launches golden strikes, raining down like spears of holy light, detonating all over Leviathan. Leviathan screams, writhing in pain, thinking, no, no way, the proud king of hell, fighting side by side with an angel. Lucifer cooperating with a sparrow, impossible. No, no, no. His soul and body both feel like they're on fire. He yells, my Lucifer would never. There's no way he'd do this. But Lu shuts him down cold. Who the hell said I was your Lucifer? I'm not Lucifer, I'm Lu. He charges straight at Leviathan, and with another devastating snap of force, boom, Leviathan's head explodes again. But Lu doesn't stop there. This time, he rips right into Leviathan's chest, his hand crushing around something pulsing. He pulls it out. It's Leviathan's heart. He squeezes tight, growling, got you, Leviathan. At that moment, Leviathan's true form starts surfacing. Lu grips his neck, holding him up, when Leviathan, half broken, half smirking, manages to whisper, no, you're not Lucifer. He grins wider, then suddenly shouts a name, Belphegor. Lu's eyes shoot wide. What? Belphegor? Sujong, El, even Ball, all of them are stunned. Off to the side, the 2 mysterious Demon King-class figures in hoodies, the ones who'd been just chilling till now, finally speak up. They smirk under their hoods and say, so you finally come to your senses, Leviathan. Then they leap forward towards him. Lu is holding Leviathan by the neck, but his own brain is short-circuiting. You bastard, you're still alive, Belphegor? He flashes back to Gigyu's tower trial, remembering the choice, either Belphegor actually died, or he threw everything away for some crazy powerful weapon. Ball suddenly shouts, Lucifer, behind you, there's still one more left. Lu spins around, confused, and what does he see? Not 1 but 2 Belphegor staring back at him. His jaw drops. What the hell? Why are there 2 Belphegors?
So, inside the Gigyu Tower, Ball is standing there in the middle of this glowing magic circle, and suddenly goes, wait, hold up. Are there seriously 2 Belphegors? He starts mumbling to himself, like, are those clones? Duplicates? But come on, duplicating a Demon King level dude? No way, that should be impossible. He's low-key freaking out and mutters, Andrus, what the hell are you scheming this time? Meanwhile, elsewhere in Eden, a big flashy portal gate opens up. A voice pops through like, oh, so this is how everyone got transported here? You can see regular players lying unconscious on the ground, their bodies scattered like ragdolls, while their souls, or still active selves, are with the demons. Tao Chen steps forward, calm as ever, and says,
All right then, if that's how it works, I guess it's time we join the battlefield too. At that point, Yujung and Tao's whole squad show up. L's angel followers, Hart with his creepy undead army, and Botus leading his mantis soldiers. They all line up beside and behind him like some kind of dramatic group shot. Yujung looks around and says, "We just need to gather the minimum number of people, right?" Then Tao Chan turns to Botus, since technically Botus is the one in charge here, and asks, "So what do you think? You're leading this, aren't you?" Botus, looking a little caught off guard, goes, yeah, I guess that's true." Meanwhile, Hart is off to the side, sneaking a little side-eye like, "Actually, I'm the one running things here, but sure, let him think that." Still, Botus decides and says, "All right, here's the plan. Charging in with numbers alone won't work, so let's keep the undead army and the mantises right here." Hart isn't too thrilled, but he goes off and kneels down, using a thin stick to scribble something on the ground like he's making calculations. Then, out of nowhere, his private line lights up. A voice comes through, "Hart, can you hear me?" Hart stops, totally confused, and mutters, "Wait, administrator? Aren't you supposed to be maintaining the magic circle with your son right now? What's going on?" Mr. Huang calmly replies, "The magic circle's fine, but listen, something strange is happening in Eden. Everyone, hold your ground. This isn't a situation where you should interfere." Back on Lu's side, things are getting even crazier. Those two Belphegor copies rush straight at him. Right as they're about to slam into him, Lu sidesteps smoothly, still holding Leviathan by the neck like it's nothing. Lu narrows his eyes and mutters, "Belphegor." Leviathan, meanwhile, is gritting his teeth like, what the hell is going on? He thinks to himself, okay, if the intruder really is Belphegor, that's good in one way, he's the weakest of the 6 kings. But duplicating a demon king level being like him, that's supposed to be flat out impossible. Then Leviathan suddenly blurts out at Lu, his voice cracking, "Lucifer, you're not my Lucifer." Lu just rolls his eyes and snaps, I'm so sick of hearing that. Since I can't kill you right now, maybe I should just rip you into pieces first." He pulls back his other hand, ready to slam down his death power. Leviathan lets out a rough groan, and with his last bit of strength, his body turns blue and bubbles start popping up all around him. In a flash, he transforms into his massive dragon form and breaks free from Lu's grip. Lu, L, and Sujung just stand there wide-eyed, completely stunned. Even Ball, watching from the tower, is like, "Wait, what the hell just happened?" Leviathan screams out with his guttural roar, twisting his body midair, mouth stretching wide, and then bam, he suddenly dives at one of the Belphegor duplicates. The duplicate is like, "Wait, what are you doing?" before he gets swallowed whole. The other duplicate stands frozen, completely dumbfounded. Even Sujung is staring, thinking, aren't these supposed to be on the same side? What is even happening right now? Leviathan's dragon eyes suddenly flash with this terrifying bright light. Lu shields his face, groaning from the sheer intensity like it's burning into his vision. Back at the tower, even Mr. Huang has to cover his eyes and mutters, "What the?" Lu, still suspended midair, lowers his hands and his eyes go wide. In the glowing reflection in front of him, he realizes exactly what's happened. His voice drops, "Damn it, things just went from worse to worse. That troublesome guy has regained his full prime power." And sure enough, the new Leviathan isn't just a dragon anymore, he's on a whole different level. This thing looks like a true demon dragon king with not 1, not 2, but 5 monstrous forms overlapping in its presence, like an abyssal nightmare come to life. Lu mutters in disbelief, "Lord of the Abyss, Demon Dragon Leviathan." And just like that, Leviathan has transformed into something way beyond deadly. He's no longer just a monster, he's a nightmare walking. And that was the rise of the demon dragon Leviathan. No longer a beast, but a living nightmare forged in the depths of the abyss. Sujung and El are just standing there in total shock, both thinking the same thing. Wait, did Belphegor just get eaten? Meanwhile, Lu isn't even fazed. Inside his head, he's like, so that bastard really did recover his full prime power, huh? Figures. And Ball, watching this unfold, goes all dramatic with, The master of the abyss, the demonic dragon Leviathan, has descended. But nope, Belphegor wasn't eaten. He suddenly appears behind them, gritting his teeth so hard you could hear it, his eyes glowing purple like some angry disco light. He roars out, "Leviathan!" Lou instinctively steps back a little, giving him some space because Belphegor's aura is going wild. His legs bulk up, muscles expanding, and boom, he transforms into his full, true self. He's glaring at Leviathan like, "You're dead. I'll crush you." El, still beside Sujong, blurts out, why are they fighting each other? And Sujong, wide-eyed, goes, "Are they actually insane?" Lou just shrugs and casually says, "They've always been like this. Not a single one of those so-called kings is sane." Inside, though, he's smirking, thinking, if they're dumb enough to keep beating each other up and we benefit from it, perfect. What a convenient setup. But then, crack! The barrier around Eden starts splitting. Lou snaps out of it and mutters, "Damn it, the barrier won't last much longer." Almost immediately, someone calls out to him, "It's getting dangerous. The barrier is collapsing. At this rate, Eden's barrier is going to be completely destroyed." Meanwhile, outside near the giant gate, a cameraman notices something weird. He squints and says, did you hear something just now?" Standing beside him, there's this younger guy live streaming himself with a selfie stick. He cheerfully waves, "Hey everyone, I'm right here in front of the giant gate." Viewers in his chat are being savage though. One user at SidWing types, "Again?" Another at Anict goes, "Recycled content." And at You just says, "Nothing's even happened so far." The streamer defends himself saying, No, it's not recycled. Look, don't you hear? More players from the Caravan Guild are being deployed." He spins around with the camera and points, "See, over there, that's the Korean branch head of the Iron Guild." But then he cuts off mid-sentence, totally frozen, because someone just walked out of the gate. And the crowd collectively gasps, "Wait, is that Tao Chen, the Chinese high ranker? He's part of this raid too?" Instantly, reporters go wild, cameras flashing non-stop, microphones shoved in Tao Chan's face. "Sir, what's happening inside? How did you get out here alone? Is Kim Gigyu still inside?" The questions come fire rapid until one guy yells at the others, "Idiots! You've got to ask in English!" Tao Chan just sighs, clearly annoyed, and shouts, "Everyone, get away! The barrier's about to collapse. If you stay here, you'll all die. Move now!" The reporters blink at him, confused. Did he just say barrier? What barrier? Quick, write this down. High ranker violates freedom of the press. Tao Chan face palms internally, thinking, damn it, words won't work here. Looks like I've no choice. And just as he's about to act, someone zooms past him, literally a blur of neon light streaking across the area. Tao Chen jerks his head to follow the trail, his face twisting in pure confusion like, what the hell was that? Even the reporters fall silent, completely stunned. Flashback time. On the 60th floor, inside a reward chamber, Gigyu had been standing before an altar, opening a reward box that glowed brilliantly. A system message appeared. Enjoin Yu has completed its evolution. Enjoin has acquired ownership of a forbidden name. Back to the present, suddenly a massive wolf lunges straight at Belphegor, jaws wide open. Before Belphegor can react, the wolf clamps down hard, tearing into him. Blood splashes everywhere. Belphegor staggers, groaning, "Cut! What the hell is this?" Lou watches, eyes narrowing, and mutters, "Rain? Is that rain?" Even Leviathan looks stunned. El gasps, "Rain? If rain is here, then Master." And before anyone can process, another force charges at Leviathan. He twists, alarmed. What's happening now? But the only sound that follows is a sharp slash, like a blade carving straight through flesh. Leviathan reels, totally disoriented. Then, ding, a system notification pops up. Enzonarini is evolving. Leviathan's flesh cracks apart, shattering into pieces, and from within emerges none other than Gigyu himself, chaos sword in hand, cutting through with lethal precision. Another notification flashes before their eyes. Enzona Brunhart has acquired a new form, Dragon Slayer. Brunhart gives this eerie little smile and whispers, "I've arrived." Meanwhile, Rain is busy tearing Belphegor apart like a chew toy. Its sharp teeth sink deep into his flesh and Belphegor howls in pain. What the hell is this thing? He tries to counter, muscles tensing for a crushing strike, but Rain suddenly bursts into elemental fire. The wolf releases its bite, circling him like a predator, and before Belphegor can react, whip! A rope of molten magma lashes out. Coiling around his body, it burns into his skin, steaming him alive, pinning his arms tight against his sides. Belphegor shrieks, "Grah!" Meanwhile, the remnants of Leviathan are still floating in the air, chunks of flesh glowing faintly, his only eye twitching as he thinks in horror, What happened? Someone slashed me as they passed. I need to recover fast. But why am I not regenerating? Lou, however, is calm as ever. He studies the broken Leviathan pieces and mutters, "That attack. It happened before our link was even restored. He incapacitated Leviathan instantly, without using our power. He did it with his own strength." Lou smirks and adds, "You've come back as a monster, Master." El, glowing with pride, whispers, "Master." And Sujong clenches her fists, smiling faintly, "Perfect timing, Kim Gigyu." Then Gigyu suddenly calls out to Lou, "Lou, catch!" and tosses him a strange purple object. Lou snatches it, frowning. "This is..." Gigyu doesn't waste time. "Absorb it, devour them." Lou's grin stretches wide. Yes, that's right. Without hesitation, he absorbs it and his body ripples, transforming into a massive death strike sword in Gigyu's hand. Lou chuckles through the blade. "It's been so long since I've taken this form." El steps forward next. "Master, I'll help you too." But Gigyu shakes his head, steady but gentle. "El, I need you for something else. There are still civilians outside. Mobilize the undead, the griffins, the mantises, whatever it takes, evacuate them all." "Can you do that?" Elle's face lights up with a smile and, "Of course, Master." And in a flash, she shoots off to carry out the order. But Belphegor, still bound in fiery magma ropes, notices her leaving. His rage boils over. "Where do you think you're running? You disgusting bastard pretending to be God?" Then, stab! Something slams down from above, piercing straight through his skin. Belphegor freezes, body locked up, his eyes widened. "I can't move! This is life and death? Impossible! How can anyone balance those two opposing forces so perfectly?" Trembling, he wonders, just who the hell is this man? Off to the side, Sujong turns to Gigyu. "What about me? What do you want me to do? Give me something." Then she pauses, clicking her tongue. Since when did I start waiting for permission, huh? Damn it. She flashes back. Just last year, Gigi was nothing but a fragile kid. Someone who looked like he'd break if you breathed too hard. And now he's the one the whole world spins around. She bites her lip and mutters under her breath, "Kim Gigyu." Then, suddenly, another system screen lights up in front of them. Name Kim Gigyu, Level 1, Job EE, Master Uni Ability Kun. Skills, a sim death, life prize, what the hell? That revelation rewrites everything. Kim Gigi's rise has corrupted the system itself. If you love this twist, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next episode peels back more secrets. Comment your theory. What did the system hide about him? Don't miss the next drop. It rewrites his fate. See you?
Sujong called out, "Disciple," her voice filled with concern. "What should I do? Is there anything I can help with?" Gigyu, calmed but serious, turned to her. "We need to reinforce the barrier once the battle starts. Eden won't be able to hold it alone." He looked around and shouted, "Ball, Mr. Huang, Mr. Huang Che-Li, I need you all to help too." Then he turned back to Sujong. "Think you can handle it?" Sujong nervously twisted her hair around her finger, mumbling, "Well, I can lend a little power, but this isn't really my specialty, you know?" Mr. Huang sighed, already frowning. "It won't be easy. Even with Miss Sujong and Ball helping, we'll barely hold it for a minute. No, maybe 30 seconds at best." But Gigyu just smirked, that confident, slightly reckless grin. 30 seconds? That's perfect. Just hold on that long. That's all I need." Meanwhile, Leviathan's grotesque, watery body was reforming, piece by piece. He glared at Gigyu with pure hatred. "Inferior human scum, always running your mouths the moment you speak." His voice rumbled like thunder as his body completely reformed. "Don't get cocky just because your little ambush worked once, human." Outside the Eden walls, things weren't looking good either. The undead army was marching out, along with massive griffins soaring into the sky. The civilians took one look and completely lost it. "Skeletons? And is that a giant bird? Run!" Within seconds, the entire area was chaos. People were tripping over each other, shouting, "What the hell is this? The brakes! Ah! Don't push me! Move!" Above them all, Elle hovered gracefully in the air. her wings shining in the sunlight. She looked down at the mess and sighed, "Oh, for heaven's sake." Then, with a gentle but commanding tone, she called to the undead army and the griffins. "Ignore the chaos. Even if there are injuries, I'll heal them. Just focus on evacuating everyone." She spread her glowing hands, a golden aura radiating out like sunlight, and asked, "Understood?" Her angelic squad nodded in sync. "Got it!" Yuban, Tao Chen, the Undead King, Griffin King, and Bodis all joined in, ready to help. Then, in the middle of the madness, a random griffin scooped up a poor guy by the shoulders. He screamed at the top of his lungs, "Ah! What the? Put me down!" Meanwhile, the undead soldiers scared the life out of the fleeing humans. "Save me! Monsters!" someone cried. Yuban tried to calm everyone down, yelling, "Get back! Run!" But nobody was listening. It was total chaos. People started recognizing her. "Wait, isn't that Guildmaster Shin Yubin from the Mistflower Guild? What's going on?" Someone else shouted, "I don't know! Just run!" And amid all that confusion, Elle suddenly felt something strange coming from the gate. Her expression turned serious. She whispered to herself, "It's begun. Master's battle." Inside Eden, Gigyu's voice echoed sharply, "V, return!" Immediately, Rain, who'd been fiercely attacking Belphegor, stopped mid-swing and zipped back to Gigyu, merging into his suit like liquid metal. Belphegor stared, baffled. It stopped attacking? Is he underestimating me? A mere human? Meanwhile, the entire Gigyu Tower was trembling violently, despite Mr. Huang, Bal, Suzhong, and Mr. Huang Cheili doing everything they could to reinforce it. Suzhong smirked softly, muttering to herself. She said 30 seconds would be enough, but it looks like he's planning to end it in 3. Then Gigyu's expression hardened. His whole body glowed deep crimson as power pulsed around him. Suzhong warned him quickly, "Don't go too wild. If you overdo it, the barrier won't hold." But it was already too late. Gigyu's red aura exploded like fire, and he activated haste. In a blink, literally less than a heartbeat, his sword pierced both Belphegor and Leviathan at the same time. The demons didn't even realize what had happened. Belphegor's eyes went wide as his flesh began to burn from the inside out. What? Leviathan's watery form sizzled, steam rising off his body as Gigyu activated cannibalism, devouring their power from within. Outside, one of El's angels was flying with a rescued man in his arms. The man looked up, dazed and blushing. "Wow, never thought my first princess carry would be in the arms of an actual angel." But his smile vanished as his eyes caught something behind her. Miss Angel? Behind you!" The angel turned, eyes widening as the Eden gate flickered and started to fade. "Eden's barrier! It's breaking!" Everyone froze. Angels, undead, civilians, all staring at the giant wall as cracks of light spread across it. Yuban's eyes went wide as she caught sight of what was behind it, the half-destroyed, half-burning bodies of Belphegor and Leviathan.
And just like that, poof, Belphegor and Leviathan's bodies started decaying, turning into dust that scattered into the air like they never existed. Yuban and Tao Chen just stood there, completely speechless, their mouths half open, eyes wide, like, did that really just happen? As the ashes fell, Gigyu slowly landed back on the ground, calm and collected. No explosions, no flashy poses, just a quiet, powerful landing, like a boss who already knew he'd won from the start. Then the familiar robotic voice echoed in his head. "You have absorbed Leviathan and Belphegor." Lu's voice followed right after, sounding both tired and dramatic. Finally, that was exhausting. And with that, everything went silent. Now, fast forward 2 months later. The Soul Giant Gate Raid was still going on, non-stop. The Korean Player Association had teamed up with guilds and associations from all over the world. Everyone, literally everyone, had joined the fight. But the result? A complete disaster.
Thousands of players vanished without a trace. Not a single person came back. The only thing left was a short, 1-minute video clip. Shaky, blurry, but it was all they had. In that brief footage, you could see a weird, alien-like landscape, a battlefield no one could recognize. There were faint traces of some massive, unknown creature, and right there in the middle of it all, Kim Ji-kyu, the so-called Special Class 1 wanted criminal. And just like that, the gate sealed itself up again. Somewhere nearby, a man dropped to his knees in shock. Behind him, people rushed over. "Division Leader, are you okay? Division Leader!" The man, Vice Leader Rohan, also known as James Rohan, or Rogers Han if you ask him, was trembling. He muttered under his breath, "Ah, my master, you've returned!" Then, through a private channel, a familiar voice came through, calm and commanding. "You've done your duty well, Rohan. Now." Before the voice could even finish, Rohan broke down completely. Tears streamed down his face as he started laughing and crying all at once. Finally, revenge on Iron Shield. It's finally here! Meanwhile, over in LA, at the World Player Association headquarters, the tension was high sky. A man slammed his fist on the desk, hard enough to shake the table. "What are you talking about? Nearly 1,000 players died in Europe during this raid alone." That man was Zeus, chair of the European Council. His tone was furious, his face red. Across from him sat the calm, almost unnervingly composed president of the World Player Association, the one known as the Blood Emperor. The president said coolly, "Kim Ji-kyu is clearly a terrorist, a danger to all humanity. You can't negotiate with terrorists." Zeus leaned forward, voice rising. "That's by your standards. I'm not even sure he's really humanity's enemy. Am I the only one who finds the reasons for his wanted status suspicious? We can see, we can hear. Don't think you can keep manipulating everything through the Central Association forever." The room went quiet. You could almost hear everyone's hearts pounding. After a long pause, the president finally asked, "Then what is it that you want, Zeus?" Zeus folded his arms. "Dialogue, negotiation, recognize Kim Ji-kyu as a separate force, and find a way for both sides to coexist peacefully." The Blood Emperor narrowed his eyes. "That's a coward's idea." Zeus didn't back down. "We call it rationality where I come from. We're both responsible for hundreds of millions of lives, aren't we?" Right then, a loud clap echoed through the room. Everyone turned. It was the Pope, smiling politely, but clearly trying to stop the fight. "Gentlemen, let's not get too heated. If we keep going, we'll just deepen the misunderstanding. Let's take some time to reflect." The president exhaled slowly. "That would be fine." And just like that, the meeting was adjourned. As everyone left, the Pope gave the president a friendly smile and exited with the rest of the council. But the president stayed behind, sitting quietly in the now empty room. He closed his eyes for a moment, exhaling slowly. Then, when he opened them again, a faint red glow flickered deep within his gaze. Something dark and dangerous.
Back at Gigyu's gate, things were calmer. Elle knelt beside an unconscious man, her hands glowing with warm golden light. "Come on. Breathe." A spark of life returned to the man's body, and his eyes shot open. He gasped, blinking rapidly as he sat up, trying to process everything. What is this place?" Elle glanced over to Tao Chen. "Is this the one?" Tao Chen nodded. "Yeah, this is Japan's high ranker, Susanoo." Elle smiled softly.
High Ranker Susanoo. Good. Then please, come with us. Our master is waiting.
A few minutes later, the air around Gigyu's private gate shimmered, and a foot stepped out. Then another, and another. Susanoo emerged slowly, blinking as he looked around. What is this place? The space around him was nothing like he expected. Instead of a battlefield or dungeon, he saw luxury cars lined up like a celebrity parking lot. And the people, the people were even stranger. Wait, that's Captain Delaware from America, he muttered, recognizing the burly man in a suit. And that's Siva from India? Even the top guild leaders from Korea are here. He glanced around, confused. What's going on? Why are all these top-ranked players being called here? Are we about to start another raid or something? Before anyone could guess, the elevator doors nearby opened with a soft chime. Everyone turned as the lift descended smoothly. A moment later, the group stepped into a large, sleek conference room. The air inside felt heavy, almost sacred. At the far end of the long table sat Gigyu, composed as ever, with Lu and Boetus standing silently behind him, like shadowy bodyguards. Gigyu's calm voice cut through the silence. Welcome. Can everyone hear me clearly? The players exchanged looks. One of them whispered in awe, Wait, is he speaking Korean? Then why do I understand him? Susanoo frowned slightly, thinking, this normal translation skill couldn't do this. There's no way. Nothing about this place is ordinary. He was right, of course. This was all thanks to Mr. Huang's handiwork. Gigyu gestured politely. Please, everyone, have a seat. There's a lot we need to discuss. Whether you believe me or not, I'm going to tell you something important. The truth about the Iron Guild and the Caravan Guild. Everyone sat down, the tension so thick you could practically see it. Then Gigyu began explaining everything. How the demon Andres had allied himself with Iron Shield, how the two guilds were secretly pulling strings, and even the horrifying truth about demons hiding among players, and the real story behind the first potion. Since everyone in that room was a top player, veterans who'd cleared the 50th floor long ago, Gigyu didn't waste time with the basics. He told them everything straight and quickly. By the time he was done, the room was dead silent. The reactions were all over the place, some faces pale with shock, others tense with suspicion, and a few even nodding in grim understanding. It was clear his words had struck something deep in all of them. The seed of doubt was planted. When the meeting wrapped up, El stepped forward and gently led everyone outside. Inside the now empty conference room, Lu turned to Gigyu. Master, are you sure about this? You're just letting them go? Gigyu leaned back slightly, calm but thoughtful. It's fine. At the very least, they've started to question things. Once those doubts spread, people will grow wary of Iron and Caravan. Whatever happens, that's still better than having the entire world against us. Then he asked, more importantly, how are you feeling after absorbing Belphegor and Leviathan? Lu crossed his arms, grimacing. Still digesting. Their power is too massive to absorb all at once. That's why I'm stuck in this miserable, shrunken form again. Just then, a faint green glow flickered under Gigyu's shirt. From the light, a tiny figure emerged, Brunhart, the little fairy. She fluttered around them with a cheeky grin. Honestly, I prefer Lu when he's small like this. He's cute. Lu groaned, Shut up, fairy. But Brunhart just laughed, zipping over to his head and tugging at his hair like a playful mosquito. Get off me, Lu hissed. Gigyu just sighed, half amused, half tired. All right, Lu, enough. Tell me what happened in Eden while I was gone. Is everything stable? Lu gave him a look. You say that like war itself is nothing much. Anyway, you came back as a monster again. He crossed his arms. For starters, Lim Haesuk is working with Grigori. Since she's become an ego-2, she's acting as a messenger. She's been great at tracking the Caravan Guild's movements. Everyone else has been holding down the fort. The so-called Demon King and Baal have been working with Huang Jichul and his son to strengthen the barriers and magic circles. Elle and her angels are busy hunting down hidden demons. Yubin, Tao Chen, the undead, and the monsters have been fighting non-stop, holding back waves of enemies. Oh right, Lu added. Tao Chen said he had something to discuss with you. He wants to talk once things settle. Gigyu raised an eyebrow. Something to tell me? Oh, right, that time he said, please help China. A few moments later, in another room, Tao Chen was bowing deeply. Thank you for agreeing to meet me. I know you're busy, so I really appreciate it. Gigyu waved it off. No need to apologize. If anything, we should be the ones thanking you. You've helped us a lot. He glanced at the table and blinked. Wait, what's this? Tao Chen looked up, smiling slightly. Oh, that? I was playing Go with Boydus. Gigyu stared at them for a long second. Yeah, I can see that. I just didn't expect you two to be that close. Boydus gave a small, smug grin. Tao Chen pretended not to notice. Gigyu coughed into his fist. Anyway, let's talk about the Chinese Players Association, the one that's fallen under the demon's control. And with that, another serious conversation began. Here's the thing about China. They've always been a powerhouse when it comes to players. Like, seriously, their strength goes way back, even before towers and gates were a thing. Sure, having a huge land and population helps, but that's not the main reason. What really boosted them was their good old kung fu. Now, back in the day, people just thought kung fu was some flashy move from novels or old movies, right? But when mana started becoming real, and towers and gates popped up like mushrooms, suddenly kung fu wasn't just cool anymore, it was practical. Turns out their martial arts were like they were made for using mana. Total cheat code. Gigyu stood there thinking to himself, man, people used to call that a conspiracy theory, but now it all makes sense. Then he remembered the big picture. Gaia and Kronos, the two forces that basically shaped the Earth itself. Their ancient beef probably left traces everywhere, especially here. But he shrugged it off. Just speculation, he muttered. Anyway, standing there in front of Tao Chen, Gigyu thought, even if that's not the case, I've got plenty of reasons to head to China. The Caravan Guild situation wasn't going to fix itself, plus he still owed Beautiful Bread a huge favor. Then Tao Chen started talking, looking dead serious. Apparently things were bad in China. The entire Chinese Players Association had fallen into the hands of demons. Even their president wasn't human anymore. His body got hijacked by a demon. So Tao Chen gathered a small crew of loyal players, starting a rebellion to take back their homeland. He respectfully asked Gigyu to join their side to help them save China from demon control. Gigyu sighed. The real problem isn't helping, it's how to even get there. After everything that happened, everyone already thought he was allied with the enemy. Flying or using a public portal was basically asking to get caught. Tao Chen tilted his head. Can't you just open one of your fancy gates again? Gigyu shook his head. Not possible. I don't keep fixed gates lying around like public restrooms. Luckily, he mentioned that advisor Lim Haesuk had told him about a secret portal that could lead straight to China. He said, I can disguise myself, but you, not so much. Tao Chen blinked. What if I just wear full armor and helmet? Gigyu gave him a look. Yeah, sure, nothing screams, totally not suspicious guy, like a fully armored knight walking through customs. He added, if you cover too much, they'll just interrogate you. Honestly, if only you didn't have that beard. That hit Tao Chen like a lightning bolt. His eyes went wide, and he immediately turned around like, no, not the beard. He looked horrified. Blackie's been with me for decades. He's part of me. I can't just... Gigyu just stared at him. Tao Chen took a deep breath, trembling dramatically. Fine. If it's for my country, please just make it clean and painless. Gigyu, a little guilty now, muttered, didn't know it meant that much. Didn't even know it had a name. In the end, Gigyu decided to go to China alone first, then open a gate for the others once things were safe. Meanwhile, somewhere deep underground, in the association's secret Grigori base, a portal suddenly lit up. Inside a multi-purpose room, a familiar voice called out, Player Gigyu, long time no see, man. You've been trending online. Then Choi Chong-young, the Blue Dragon Guildmaster, stepped forward with a calm nod. Been a while. Next came Kim San-pil, the Morning Star Child Joint Guildmaster, saying, Hey, long time, Gigyu. And lastly, Go Hyung-chil, the ever-nosy player paparazzi, just stood there, acting way too casual for a secret meeting. Gigyu blinked. What's this? A meeting or a barbecue? Sung-hun grinned. 3 months apart. Pork belly's mandatory, my dude. He proudly gestured toward the sizzling meat.
The Grigori guys and guild members are already drinking, boosting morale, you know. Even the higher-ups need to chill. Come on, sit down. We'll talk shop after eating. A few plates later, everyone was stuffed. Man, that hit the spot. Someone groaned happily. Then Sunghan leaned forward. The tone turned serious. All right, let's get down to it. Nothing major to report yet. We're still tracking the Caravan Guild. Hit a few of their secret branches, but they're too spread out. Security's tighter now. Oh, and the Korean government reached out again. They've always been nosy, but now they're getting restless. With Eden rising as a new power, they're trying to decide whose side they're on. Go Hyung-chul added, rolling his eyes. Yeah, I even infiltrated them myself. Haven't teamed up with Iron or Caravan yet, but man, for national leaders, their security is a joke. Gigyu sighed. Sunghan, I've got to deal with stuff in China, so I'm leaving this in your hands.
Got it, Sung-hoon replied. How much info should I share? Take Lohan with you, Gigyu said. It's time we show them some cards. Make it clear which side benefits them more. Then he turned to Choi Chang-yang and Kim Senpil. What about Blue Dragon and Morning Star Child? You guys didn't join the Eden raid? Choi Chang-yang shook his head. We were left out. They thought we might betray them since we actually made it back alive last time. And while Lohan kind of helped spread that suspicion. Kim Senpil nodded. We've been clearing our names quietly. No need to risk more chaos. Fair enough, Gigyu said. Now that the other guilds made it through safely, some doubts should clear up. Then, out of nowhere, Go Hyung-chul leaned forward, voice low. By the way, Gigyu, you're going to China, right? Gigyu blinked. Yeah? Why? Hyun-chul gave a half smile. So you already knew, huh? I was waiting until it was confirmed, but in China, Belphegor is being replicated. The room went quiet. Forks froze midair. Gigyu's eyes narrowed. What?
Elle and Lou were there to see him off, standing near the portal like worried moms sending their kid to school. Elle looked at him with that soft, anxious face and asked, Master, are you really okay with leaving us behind? Gigyu, calm as always, said, In Eden, there's no telling what might happen. You two stay here. If I need to, I can come back through the gate any time. Don't stress too much. Then Brunhart puffed her nose proudly and said, That's right. I'll protect Master, so don't worry. Lou immediately snapped, That's exactly why I'm worried, kid. Brunhart crossed her arms and fired back, You're a kid yourself, Lou. Gigyu just laughed, shaking his head. All right, enough fighting. He then put on his disguise mask, giving them one last reassuring smile. I'll be back. And with that, whoosh, he stepped through the portal and disappeared. A few hours later, somewhere deep in China, Gigyu took off his disguise as a familiar voice greeted him. Welcome! This is the forward base of our rebel army, Tao Chen said proudly. He spread his arms wide and continued, And this, my friend, is the Shaolin Temple. Brunhart's eyes sparkled. Wow, amazing! Gigyu stared up at the temple with a half smile. Shaolin Temple, huh? Never thought I'd actually see this place for real. Tao Chen nodded. Follow me. I've already sent word to my comrades that you've arrived. A few minutes later, inside the temple, a huge bald man appeared. His presence was no joke. Dude looked like he could crack boulders with his shoulders alone. So, you're the son of Kronos? The bald man said suddenly. Gigyu blinked. Wait, what? His brain immediately went, How the heck does this guy know about Kronos? The man brought his hands together in a Shaolin gesture and said with calm pride, In the early days of the tower's appearance, China received great blessings from him, Sir Kronos, and all the pioneers. They were our heroes. I am Abbot Chu Guang of Shaolin. Gigyu relaxed a bit. Oh, so he means my real father. Brunhart, startled, whispered, Whoa, big guy just dropped your dad's name like it's nothing. Gigyu smiled politely, bowing slightly. Nice to meet you. I'm Kim Gigyu from Korea. Brunhart waved enthusiastically. And I'm Brunhart. The abbot nodded but stayed serious. Even though we owe your father great gratitude, trusting you is another matter. We cannot hand over our nation's future to a stranger. Tao Chen frowned. Abbot, I've told you this before. He's not some random stranger. Treating him like this is disrespectful. The abbot sighed.
Beautiful beard, I respect your judgment, but faith cannot be given by words alone. It must be earned. Tao Chen clenched his fists. Still, you... But Gigyu raised a hand. It's fine. Then tell me, how can I earn your trust? The abbot's eyes glimmered with respect. Through martial arts, not with speeches, but with combat, prove yourself to us in a duel. Gigyu exhaled deeply, rubbing the back of his neck. Knew it. It always comes to this. Brunhard grinned. Heh, every time someone says stuff like that, they end up in a coffin. Gigyu gave her a look. Brunhard, maybe stay a few steps back for this one. Then he turned to the abbot with a smirk. All right then, but let's make it interesting. How about everyone here comes at me at once? The entire temple went silent. What? The abbot blinked. Did he just... One monk whispered. Tao Chen looked horrified. Morningstar, wait! The abbot sighed heavily, shaking his head. It seems you have yet to learn that arrogance leads to ruin. Then, clang, the abbot's metal bracelets dropped to the floor. Gigyu tilted his head. What's that? The abbot straightened his back, aura starting to rise. These are an item that restricts mana. We martial artists of China do not rely solely on techniques. We polish our bodies and minds through discipline. Now we will face you at full strength. The room buzzed as other monks' auras flared up too. But Gigyu just smiled. So everyone's wearing those, huh? He casually raised his hand, and suddenly the monk started gasping. What's happening? My bracelet! It's coming off! The bindings on their wrists shot loose and flew straight into Gigyu's palm. Brunhard blinked. Did you just steal their bracelets? Gigyu examined the pile calmly. Huh, these are kinda nice. The monks shouted in confusion, clutching their wrists. Gigyu grinned, tossing one bracelet up and catching it. All right, then let's keep things fair. I'll continue like this. And the whole place went dead silent again, everyone realizing they might have just picked a fight with a monster. Gigyu grinned, holding all those shiny bracelets in his hand like he just robbed a jewelry store. Well, this is fun, he said casually. I'll continue in this state. The whole room went silent. You could feel the air go heavy. Even the abbot's big bald head looked confused for a second. Tao Chen panicked, waving his hands. Morningstar, wait, this is... But the abbot cut him off with a serious tone. Very well, you asked for this. Prepare yourself to pay the price for arrogance. And just like that, boom, the old man launched himself forward like a missile. His punch came flying straight at Gigyu. But Gigyu? He barely even flinched. He just stepped sidely, caught the abbot's arm mid-swing, and with the strength of someone flicking a fly, flung the man backward. Crash! The abbot skidded across the ground, smashing into the floor like someone dropped a bag of bricks. He groaned, "Gugh!" Gigyu dusted his hands. Told you already. All of you, come at me. The room froze again. Then suddenly, chaos. Every monk and martial artist jumped in at once, yelling out their techniques like it was some kind of fighting game intro. Black Serpent Sword Art, Supreme Triple Sever, Mountain Crushing Fist Strike, Lotus 13 Spear Technique, Taeback Radiant Sword Art. It was like a martial arts fireworks show. Energy blasts, weapon strikes, and all kinds of glowing nonsense flying everywhere. But Gigyu? Still calm, still unbothered. The first attacker swung his sword at him, and Gigyu casually reached out and tapped it with his hand, just slightly redirecting the angle. The swordsman's eyes went wide. What the? My sword's direction! The guy behind him barely dodged as the redirected blade came flying toward him instead. Hey, you're attacking me now? The first guy shouted back, That wasn't me, he redirected it. Stop swinging like an idiot. Then move out of the way. Why are our attacks not landing? In seconds, their perfect coordination turned into a martial arts brawl of friendly fire. Someone yelled, Scatter! Don't get close. If you get in his range, he'll read all your moves. Meanwhile, Tao Chen was standing at the edge, mouth half open, looking like a proud yet terrified dad. Morningstar, I knew he was strong, but what on earth is this? Before anyone could recover, the abbot suddenly jumped back into the fight, his aura blazing. Boom, boom, boom. His punches flew like thunderbolts coming from the side. Gigyu noticed him at the last second. With lightning reflexes, he turned and met one of the abbot's punches with his own. Thud!
The shockwave rattled the entire temple. The abbot stumbled back, clutching his chest and gritting his teeth. Kuch! And even while wheezing, the old man was thinking, this isn't just combat skill. He's absorbing everything, every move, every technique we throw at him. He wasn't wrong. Gigyu had literally become a walking cheat code. Every fight he won, every enemy he defeated, their skills got carved right into his body like some supernatural download. And right at that moment, the bracelets in Gigyu's hands started glowing weirdly, trembling like they were about to explode. The air pulsed, and then, boom! A massive shockwave blasted through the temple. Dust and debris flew everywhere. Everyone shielded their faces, coughing and squinting through the thick smoke. When it finally cleared, they saw it. A piece of metal fell to the ground with a soft clink. It was one of the bracelets, broken clean in half. Gigyu blinked at it, scratching his head. Ah, my bad, I broke it. Then he looked up at the stunned monks and smiled awkwardly. Well, in any case, does this mean I've passed? So after that short sparring match, everyone's attitude toward Gigyu did a complete 180. Like yesterday they were all giving him side eyes, and now they're basically fanboys and fangirls. The next morning, all of Abbott's students were crowding around, going, "Good morning, Sir Mo! Sir Mo, I learned so much from you! Sir Mo! Sir Mo!" Like a whole choir of respect. They even bowed to him like he was their new sensei. Brunhard, of course, was super confused. Why are they calling you Sir Mo?" he asked, and Gigyu was like, maybe because I'm the Morning Star. Apparently that nickname stuck hard. Thanks to the language interpretation ring made by Huang Jichel, which Gigyu wore on his finger, he could understand everything perfectly, but still, Sir Morning Star? Seriously? You thought something like Sir Kim would have sounded way better. But now the title Sir Mo was locked in now, permanent, legendary, and kind of embarrassing. A little later, Gigyu was called into the abbot's private room at the Shaolin Temple. The old man was sitting there, calm as ever, holding a steaming cup of coffee like some wise monk straight out of a commercial. "Welcome, Sir Mo," he said politely. Gigyu twitched. About that title?" The abbot looked at him confused. "Never mind," he sighed. "So why did you call me here? You wanted a private talk with me and, your beard's missing today, huh?" The abbot just smiled. "This isn't about the rebellion. It's something related to Shaolin itself." He leaned forward and asked, "Sir Mo, are you by any chance connected to the great master Bodhidharma?" Gigyu blinked. "Well, I've at least heard the name. He's the founder of Shaolin martial arts, right? Basically the original OG. You could even say he's the ancestor of all Chinese martial arts." The abbot nodded slowly. "Indeed. You see, martial arts are founded upon the use of mana." Gigyu sipped his own cup of hot coffee, listening carefully. "That's right," the abbot continued. "The closer one approaches the origin, the stronger the connection with mana becomes." He took another calm sip, clearly enjoying this dramatic moment. "For example, Shaolin Kung Fu, the core art we practice, just training in it is enough to grant power and skills." Gigyu looked thoughtful. If that's true, he wondered, then Bodhidharma himself must have been insanely strong, maybe even on the level of a ruler. He frowned slightly. But if so, what was his real goal in creating all this? The abbot set down his cup and said quietly, "Sir Mo, the very chamber we are in right now is said to be the place where the great master Bodhidharma once lived." Gigyu's eyes widened. For hundreds of years, Shaolin has been rebuilt and expanded countless times, yet not a single brick of this room has been replaced. In fact, you could say the entire Shaolin Temple exists because of this one room. Then the abbot stood up, walked over to a bookshelf, and gently pulled one of the books. "There's something I must show you, Sir Mo." With a click, the bookshelf swung open, like some movie-style secret door. Gigyu stared. "Wait, seriously? You've got a hidden door in here?" As the door opened fully, a glowing light shone through, almost like a portal. Gigyu's eyes widened. What is that? Brunhart muttered. The wall just opened, but that power, it's divine. The abbot nodded solemnly. This secret chamber has been passed down among Shaolin abbots for generations. It's said the great master Bodhidharma himself created it. Gigyu hesitated. Such an important place. Is it really okay to show it to an outsider like me? Of course, because only those with the proper qualifications can enter. Qualifications? Gigyu asked, raising an eyebrow. The abbot stretched out his hand toward the glowing gate, as if to demonstrate, but when he tried to step closer, the portal rejected him. It literally refused to let him pass. As you can see, he said with a slightly awkward chuckle, even I, the current abbot of Shaolin, am not allowed inside. He turned to Gigyu, his tone suddenly serious. After our sparring, I had a strange feeling, a sort of intuition. I believe you're the one who possesses the qualification. Gigyu blinked, then cautiously walked up to the portal. He reached out, and, shockingly, his hand slipped right through the barrier. He froze for a moment, staring at it in disbelief. The abbot was just as stunned. He really is the one, the abbot thought to himself. Sir Morningstar, I have no idea what you'll see inside that place, but until now, only one other person has ever been worthy enough to enter it. A few moments later, Gigyu stepped fully through the gate. The world around him shifted instantly. He found himself in a massive corridor that stretched endlessly. There's no way this could fit inside the abbot's room, he exclaimed. Brunhart whistled. It's enormous. Gigyu scanned the area, trying to process it all. Is this spatial distortion? No, it's more like a portal connecting that room to here. But to think someone made this hundreds of years ago, back when mana was barely a thing? That's insane. He looked around, feeling the energy in the air. This whole place is filled with divine power. That means Bodhidharma wasn't just some strong martial artist. He might have been something way beyond that. Then suddenly, a deep, echoing voice rang out. You have come, O qualified one. Gigyu froze. Wait, who said that? The voice spoke again, calm but powerful. I shall ask you, which number of Chronos are you? Gigyu's eyes widened. Chronos? The mysterious voice echoed again, deep and ancient. I shall ask you once more. Which number of Chronos are you? Gigyu blinked, confused. Which number? What does that even mean? Brunhart tilted her head. Wait, Master, isn't Chronos your father? But hold up, he said which number? Does that mean you've got multiple dads or something? Gigyu's eye twitched. What? No, that's not what it means. He raised his voice at the empty corridor. Hey, I'm not Chronos. Who's even talking right now? There was a moment of silence. Then the voice sounded shocked, almost offended. What are you saying? No way. That can't be possible. Then who exactly are you? Gigyu took a breath. My name is Kim Gigyu, the son of Chronos. No, wait. Actually, my name is Kim Seijin. There was a soft sigh from the unseen speaker. I see. Very well. Come closer, toward the sound of my voice. Gigyu squinted ahead. All right, fine. He began walking down the endless corridor, his boots echoing against the stone floor. After a while, he spotted something up ahead, a clay statue standing silently in the middle of the path. Huh? What's that? Some kind of clay doll? He muttered, stepping closer. Suddenly, Brunhart popped out of his body and zoomed toward the statue, her voice trembling. Master, I can sense something familiar here. Gigyu's eyes widened. Yeah, I feel it too. He reached out and touched the statue, a faint glow connecting them for a second, but then it vanished. Nothing happened. Brunhart frowned. Did it not work? Gigyu shook his head. Yeah, I definitely felt an energy, a trace of an ego, but it's like empty, like something's missing. He squinted at the statue's face, and wait a second, that face looks kind of familiar. Or maybe I'm just imagining things. He sighed and stepped further in. Come on, Brunhart, let's check out the rest. They moved deeper into the space, only to find it completely empty. The silence felt heavy, almost like the air itself was watching. Then suddenly a gust of wind swept through the corridor. A voice whispered through it. "So, you've come." And then a spirit appeared right before him. Gigyu's eyes widened. "You're Kronos?" He immediately summoned his binding, ready to fight if needed. But the spirit just raised a hand calmly. "So, you've already met Kronos, have you? Relax. Keep your power to yourself, Gigyu." Gigyu froze for a second. He dispersed my energy, just like that? He was stunned. Whoever or whatever this Kronos was, he had total control. The spirit smiled faintly. "There's no need to be on edge. Let's talk. Tell me, how much do you know about Kronos and your father?" Gigyu exhaled. "I know what Kronos did to gain the power of God, and that my father was one of his clones." "Good. You already know quite a bit, but it seems you don't know everything. There weren't just 1 or 2 clones. There were many." He looked thoughtful for a moment, his tone shifting. "You're aware that Gaia created the world called Earth, yes? Even with divine power, that was no easy task." The spirit continued. "But do you know what makes Earth different from other worlds?" Gigyu and Brunhart both shook their heads. "The absence of miracles," the spirit said, his voice echoing softly. "Earth is a world without divine interference, but that's exactly why its creation was far more difficult. To bring forth intelligent life from chaos, every tiny variable had to be controlled perfectly. Only then could Gaia create the ideal world she dreamed of." Brunhart scratched her head. I don't really get it." Gigyu stayed silent, trying to process it all. Kronos' tone softened. "Child, do you understand how miraculous your existence truly is?" Gigyu looked up, startled. Then, to his surprise, tears began to fall from the spirit's eyes. "Thank you for being born, my son." The words hit Gigyu right in the chest. For a second, he didn't know what to say. His heart just felt heavy.
This is a world built on free will. No divine babysitting. No God stepping in like, "Nah, redo that scene." Just pure randomness. Chaos wearing a neat outfit and pretending it knows what it's doing. That was Gaia's dream. A world where even God's will stayed out of the way. The only ones allowed to interfere were copies of souls, Gaia's own replicated soul and Kronos' replicated soul. Basically, the universe said, "No parents allowed," then quietly let 2 exceptions sneak in. Even so, Gaia's wish didn't work out smoothly. Giving birth to the human realm without God's will involved was harder than pulling a miracle out of thin air. Actually, scratch that, it was even more mysterious than a miracle. But that mess was only the beginning. This world had no certainty. It was chaos born from order, which is honestly the worst kind because it looks organized until it punches you in the face. Gaia and Kronos couldn't even move through time properly. They just drifted randomly like lost tourists with a broken map. Meeting each other was never easy. Time kept looping, life kept restarting, and countless lives played out over and over again, ignoring time and space like they were optional settings. Now, here's the crazy part. Imagine threading a needle while someone drops millet seeds from the sky. Somehow, they've still met. Many times, actually. But for some reason, having a child was basically banned by the universe. The system said, "Nice try," and sent them back to square one every single time. Back in the temple, Gigyu suddenly snapped out of his thoughts and muttered, "What? A child?" Kronos looked at him, eyes watery like someone who just watched a sad movie at double speed, and said, "Do you know how miraculous it was for you to be born?" Tears slipped out as he wiped his face and said, "Thank you for being born, my son." The room went dead silent, like even the air stopped breathing. Then Kronos quickly panicked, pulled himself together, and said, "I'm sorry.
That must have sounded sudden. You're not Jupiter. You're Kim Gigyu. That's how you define yourself. So I'm not the father of your body, and I'm not the father of your soul either. Gigyu and Brunhart just stared at him, faces full of confusion. They clearly understood 0% of what that was supposed to mean. Kronos continued, calmer now. But still, I'm truly happy to meet you, Gigyu. He snapped his fingers, because of course he did, and a table appeared between them. On it were cups and a jug filled with hot coffee, steaming like it was serious about being dramatic. Let's talk for a bit. Tell me your story. And just like that, they talked. A lot. Gigyu talked about his childhood, half-forgotten memories that felt blurry and distant. He talked about his mother getting sick, about suddenly becoming the head of the household while still basically a kid, about the people who helped him along the way, about becoming a player, about everything leading up to now. No filters, no pretending. Kronos listened quietly, then sighed. You've been through a lot, Gigyu. Gigyu scratched his head and replied, Well, I didn't really suffer. Kronos just hummed. Kim Gigyu. The table slowly faded away. Kronos looked at him and said softly, Just once. Just this once. May I hug you? He opened his arms wide like someone who'd been waiting a long time. Gigyu froze, brain buffering. Then he nodded. All right, no problem. They hugged. During that hug, Gigyu felt something strange. His memories of his father were faint, almost gone, but somehow this felt familiar, like being held by someone who was supposed to be there all along. While they were still hugging, Kronos whispered, You've done well. You've done so well. Gigyu was about to respond when he felt something wrong. Kronos was fading, literally disappearing like a bad Wi-Fi signal. Kronos? Gigyu asked. Kronos smiled and said, It seems our time together ends here. I am the 3713 Kronos, a residual thought of Bodhidharma. With your arrival, all my missions are complete. Brunhart just stood there, staring, probably questioning every life choice that led him here. Gigyu clenched his teeth. A residual thought? No, that's not right. You can speak, you can think, you can feel. If that's not a soul, then what is? The soul is the self, it's ego. And if that's the case, I can save you. We just need a vessel. He grabbed Kronos' fading hand. Wait, father. That single word hit Kronos like a critical strike. You would call me that? He asked quietly. A few minutes later, outside the temple, but still within its grounds, the bald monk leader was walking when he sensed something strange. Sitting on a massive rock was a man meditating calmly. The monk felt an overwhelming presence and asked, Who are you? Kronos sighed as he stood up. It seems I am a father now. A notification appeared. Bodhidharma, Kronos, level, ? Ego, ? Strength, ? Dexterity, ? Stamina, ? Magic power, ? So yeah, turns out Kronos is officially a dad now. Life really comes at you fast. The monk temple master was standing there completely confused, trying to process what he just heard. A father? Since when did random divine beings start showing up and claiming parental rights? Normally, if some unidentified outsider appeared at a time like this, the whole temple would already be on lockdown with alarms blaring and monks sprinting around like it's a fire drill. But this time, he couldn't do that. The pressure coming off Kronos was unreal. Not aggressive, not hostile, just overwhelmingly divine. The kind of energy that makes you rethink your life choices and bow before asking questions. Before the monk master could say anything else, Gigyu stepped forward. Oh, I see you're here, sir. The monk master turned around, saw Gigyu, and immediately straightened up. Sir Morningstar? Gigyu laughed awkwardly. Haha, could you maybe call me something else? Right on cue, Brunhart tilted her head and jumped in. Master, didn't you just call him father a moment ago? Why are you calling him sir now? Gigyu cleared his throat. Because it's kind of embarrassing. Kronos let out a quiet hum. I suppose hoping you would truly see me as your father is too much to ask. Still, I am already prepared to devote the rest of my life to you. The moment you called me father, I became one. Yeah, emotional damage, straight to the heart. The monk leader rubbed his temple. Sir Morningstar, what exactly is going on here? Do you know this man? Gigyu hesitated. Oh, right. Then he said one word, Kshatriya. The monk master stiffened and slowly turned toward Kronos. Kronos nodded calmly. I have already taken off my monk's robes. You may call me Kshatriya. Gigyu blinked. Kshatriya? Brunhart blinked too, clearly on the same confused channel. Meanwhile, the monk master's eyes widened. That name, where have I heard it before? Wait, wasn't Kshatriya the secular name of Bodhidharma? The realization hit him like a slap. He immediately bowed. Bodhidharma! Later that night, deep inside the temple, the monk master led Gigyu to his accommodations. This will be where you stay. The door opened, revealing a special room. Gigyu stared. This is not what I expected. The monk master nodded calmly. Ah, you mean the atmosphere. It is the 21st century, after all. I suppose so, Gigyu replied. Still, who would have thought there'd be a hidden bunker under Shaolin Temple? The monk master explained that it was the will of the former abbot. After the towers and gates appeared, he prepared for the worst. People opposed him heavily at the time, called him paranoid, probably behind his back too. But now, with humanity facing an unprecedented threat, his decisions had proven completely right. Also, apparently, interior design was his hobby, because of course it was. The monk master opened the door to leave. Well then, I'll be heading off now. And just like that, he was gone. Left alone, Gigyu sat on the edge of the bed and muttered, "Gate open." The gate opened instantly. On the other side stood Lu and El. "Master," they greeted. Lu crossed his arms. "So, you've arrived." Brunhart waved cheerfully. "Hello." Gigyu smiled. "Have you both been well?" Lu shrugged. "It hasn't been that long. Everything's the same as always, huh?" Then Lu narrowed his eyes. "Your aura changed again. What happened?" Gigyu sighed. "Well..." After explaining everything, Lu nodded slowly. "I see. You encountered another avatar of Kronos and claimed the power he had hidden away." Gigyu nodded. "I don't know how to use it yet, but one thing's certain. This power is completely suppressing the chaos. Jupiter can't run wild anymore." Lu tilted his head. "Speaking of which, what's Jupiter's current situation? You went to the 60th floor to subdue him, didn't you?" Gigyu scratched his cheek. "Honestly, I'm not sure. I did suppress him, that's true, but now, even when I try to talk to him, he doesn't respond. He's probably sulking." Lu smirked. "Figures." Then he asked, "Bodhidharma, the Kronos replica you linked with, where is he now?" "Outside," Gigyu said, yawning. He wanted to look around. Lu raised an eyebrow. "You look unusually tired." El stepped closer, concerned. "Are you all right, Master? You should rest." "I'm fine," Gigyu said. "My body isn't tired. My mind just has a lot going on." He thought about it quietly. "Bodhidharma isn't my real father, so how am I even supposed to talk to him?" "Well, I'll figure it out when the time comes." It was already late, and tomorrow there would be war. Somewhere else, inside the China Players Association headquarters, a voice spoke. "Chairman, the rebel forces are on the move." The chairman replied calmly, "That's later than I expected." She was the chairman of the China Players Association, the Temo Demon, and she was smiling. China. Busy streets, tall buildings, people just trying to mind their business and not die today. And then there was Gigyu, casually walking toward a massive tower with his face disguised, hands in his pockets like he was just out for a stroll. "This should be good enough," he muttered. And then he opened a gate. Instant chaos. People froze for half a second before losing their minds. Gate? A gate just opened. Why is it always a gate? One by one, Gigyu's undead soldiers marched out like they owned the place. Griffins flapped their wings overhead, casting massive shadows across the street. Panic exploded instantly. People screamed, pointed, cried, and ran like their legs were powered by fear and regret. "Gate break! Evacuate! Run for your lives!" Civilians rushed toward shelters, tripping over each other while yelling "Monster!" at the undead soldiers, who honestly were just doing their job and didn't deserve that level of disrespect. At the same time, players, hunters, and Shaolin monk students moved in as planned. Tao Chen was there, the current Shaolin abbot was there too. Everyone was in position. And this wasn't random. Just the night before, inside the Shaolin temple, Gigyu sat calmly across a table. Tao Chen and the abbot sat opposite him, both serious. Tao Chen had spoken first. The most important thing is preventing civilian casualties. Our only enemies are the demons. I beg you, Morning Star, please use your power to minimize the damage. Back to the present, screams echoed through the streets, sirens blared. Meanwhile, high above, inside one of the upper floors of the association headquarters, the heavenly demon stood by the window, watching everything unfold. She smiled. Oh, so this is how it's going to be. Her eyes turned red. The air above the tower twisted unnaturally, like reality itself was holding its breath. A massive magic circle appeared in the sky, glowing ominously. A 5-pointed star spread out, covering the surrounding area. Down below, Gigyu had already dropped his disguise. Tao Chen and the abbot stood close to him, all of them staring up at the sky. Brunhart whispered, "It's turning red, just like Seoul." Gigyu's expression darkened. If what Lu said was true, then this place is already part of the demon's territory. He turned to Tao Chen. "Proceed as planned." Tao Chen nodded firmly. "Yes." Gigyu thought to himself, perfect bait. The rebel forces would seize the upper floors of the association headquarters. Meanwhile, he had other business. He activated hyper-acceleration. Go Hyung Chol's words echoed in his mind. In China, Belphegor is being replicated. Using the intel Go Hyung Chol gathered, Gigyu shot forward like a human missile. People didn't even see him move. 1 second he was there, the next he was gone. As he rushed through the tower, he sensed it. Something underground. A massive surge of demonic energy pulsed below. Strong, concentrated, nasty. "So that's where you're hiding," he muttered. He slammed straight through the wall, bursting into the tower interior and leaving behind a massive hole. Dust exploded everywhere, alarms screamed, and debris rained down. Gigyu smiled. Well, this is quite the welcoming party. Demon soldiers poured toward him in groups, weapons raised. Brunhart stepped forward eagerly. "Shall we take them down, Master?" Gigyu raised a hand. "No." "Huh?" "They're heading underground anyway." He slammed his death energy into the ground. The floor collapsed instantly. The ground gave way as Gigyu dropped straight down into the depths below, creating his own shortcut like stairs were for weaklings. The demon soldiers stopped, confused. What? He went underground? After him! But before they could move, a calm voice spoke behind them. You'll be dealing with me instead. Kshatriya appeared out of nowhere. Before the demon soldier could even turn, 5 strikes landed in a single second, clean, precise, brutal. The demon soldier's eyes rolled back as he collapsed. Kshatriya sighed. Well then, come at me all at once. Underground, deep beneath the tower, Gigyu landed smoothly, resting on one knee. He slowly stood and stared down the long, cleared tunnel ahead of him, knowing whatever was waiting down there, that is where things really started.
Outside the building, Tao Chen stood calmly, staff in hand, breathing steady. On the surface, he looked relaxed. Inside, he could already feel it. Demon soldiers were moving closer. Lots of them. Way too many. He quietly alerted his people. They're coming. Through the fog, shadows began to appear, marching figures, a whole force moving together like they owned the place. Tao Chen's eyes narrowed. So many of them, he muttered. Had they already taken this many people? For a brief moment, the weight of it hit him. Then he straightened his back, lifted his spare rod staff, and shouted with everything he had, "My brothers, grant rest to our fallen comrades!" At the same time, high inside the tower, the heavenly demon stood behind a glass wall, looking down at the chaos like it was free entertainment. She laughed softly. It's starting. Her smile widened. Well then, let's enjoy this. And just like that, she vanished. Deep underground, a gate opened and Lu's energy poured out. He stepped through, confused, already annoyed. What's going on? Lu asked. They told us to wait in Eden. Why are we being summoned now? And don't tell me we're already late. This doesn't even look like a battle. Gigyu shook his head. The situation changed. I was planning to move alone, but this demonic energy isn't normal. Lu frowned. I agree. Brunhart, on the other hand, waved happily. Lu, you're here! Lu ignored her enthusiasm and turned serious. From now on, stay alert. The demonic energy here is too dense. Even your energy detection won't work properly. Gigyu nodded. Yeah, I can feel it too.
But there's something else mixed in. It feels familiar, but also completely foreign. A few minutes later, they reached a massive door. The demonic energy here was overwhelming, thick, heavy, suffocating. Gigyu asked, "Is this it?" Lu stared at it. The demonic energy here is especially intense. Bernhardt frowned. Something feels wrong. Lu snapped back instantly. "Don't babble about things you don't understand." Bernhardt pouted. Gigyu pretended not to notice. He studied the area. It's strange. No enemies blocking the way. This place feels important, yet it's completely unguarded. He paused. Is it a trap or just extreme confidence? Then he shrugged. Who cares? He summoned his death sword. Let's just break it. Lu sighed. Fine by me. Bernhardt nodded enthusiastically. Okay. Gigyu swung. The door and the wall behind it were sliced apart in one clean motion. Back outside, Tao Chen suddenly felt a wave of energy slam into him. His body reacted before his mind did as he turned sharply. That energy just now. He didn't know it yet, but it was the heavenly demon's power. His expression hardened. What is this? This isn't like normal demons at all. It's on a completely different level. A memory flashed through his mind. Gigyu's warning. The heavenly demon is China's strongest player, the head of the association. If she is possessed, it's likely a high-ranking throne-class demon. The stronger the vessel, the stronger the demon. Tao Chen swallowed. Someone equal to or stronger than Grand Duke Bodis. And he might have to fight her without even knowing who she really is. He glanced at the others around him. They wouldn't survive this. I'll face her alone, he thought. Gripping his staff tightly, memories of Eden surfaced. Overwhelming beings, absolute power, strength so vast it crushed hope itself. I won't let those encounters be meaningless. He dashed toward the source of the energy. Underground, the shattered wall collapsed completely, dust filling the space. As it cleared, Gigyu saw someone standing there. Lu froze. Impossible. His voice was barely audible. Why is he here? The figure stepped forward and bowed respectfully. Pleased to meet you, Master of Lucifer. He straightened. I am the 9th throne of Hell. Paimon. Yeah, things just went from bad to who approved this boss fight real fast. Outside the tower, the heavenly demon tilted her head, smirking like she was watching ants argue over breadcrumbs. Huh, I merely sent out a little energy as a test, she said, and someone actually sensed it and dared to face me alone. Not bad. A light flickered inside her body. A voice shouted, Return my body, you evil being. The heavenly demon's lips curled into a cold smile. Silence, persistent little pest. She muttered under her breath, annoyed. Damn it! Even our tones and personalities are all mixed together. I haven't fully sized up this body yet. How unpleasant. Then her aura exploded. Her eyes glowed red and a fearsome presence filled the air. She was no longer just herself. She had become the 7th throne, Amon, Grand Marquis of Hell. Nearby, Tao Qin was already moving fast. He leapt high, landing closer to her. Their eyes locked, and in a flash they charged. Their collision ripped through the air, sending chemicals, energy, and fog scattering everywhere. Sparks flew, the sound of metal on metal, or maybe just reality breaking, echoed like thunder. Deep underground, Gigyu and Lu were facing another problem. A calm voice finally spoke. I am the 9th throne of Hell, Paimon. Gigyu blinked. Paimon? Lu frowned. The Paimon I know? Then, carefully, Lu unlinked himself from Jigyu's sword and appeared in front of Paimon. Paimon? He asked gently. Paimon bowed slightly. So you were here after all, Lord Lucifer. Lu's eyes narrowed. You? How is this possible? Didn't you die? Leave a legacy? Paimon smiled faintly. As you can see, I have returned. Lu pressed further. Was it Andras? Yes, Paimon confirmed. He revived me. Among the legacy I left behind, he had arranged clues for my resurrection, but none of my descendants ever understood them. Only Andras, the one who acquired my legacy, could decipher the arrangements. Truly unfortunate for the rest. Gigyu tilted his head. Arrangements? Brunhard frowned. I don't understand either. Lu's mind was working overtime. He doesn't know exactly what Paimon means by arrangements or what method Andras used to bring him back, but this finally explains the impossible feat of replicating a demon-class demon like Belphegor clones. That could only happen because that man is Hell's greatest blacksmith and researcher. He exhaled sharply. Whew. He looked at Paimon. Listen, I don't want to fight you. You're one of the few demons who hasn't betrayed me. Paimon's eyes softened. It's an honor to hear you remember me that way. Lu's expression shifted instantly. He laughed, cold, sharp, deadly. Fake, he spat. Death energy surged around him, coiling like a living thing. He was ready to attack. Paimon's expression didn't flinch. He just smiled. Jigyu backed up, frowning. Lu, what are you doing all of a sudden? Lu's eyes burned with deadly intent. How dare you try to deceive me? He launched the attack at Paimon, but Paimon didn't even move, calm, unshaken, a predator smiling at another predator's tantrum. Meanwhile, somewhere inside the tower, Kshatriya sensed the energy. He tilted his head. That clash. Jigyu? He hovered in midair, examining the residue of power. Judging by how he wields death, this isn't someone who just started. Even though the collision was massive, the aftershock is surprisingly light. His opponent is equal or stronger. Kshatriya descended slowly, thinking aloud, Jigyu can handle himself, I'm sure, but I should at least check it out. And with that, he moved towards the underground, eyes glowing faintly, calculating. Underground, the fog began to clear. Lu's attack had just landed, and at first, he looked calm, confident even. But then, something caught his eye. Shock hit him like a ton of bricks. Before him, a Belphegor replicate stirred, fully formed, fully alive. Meanwhile, Paimon stayed behind it, perfectly unscratched, smiling like he'd just won the lottery. The Belphegor clone, on the other hand, screeched in pain as cracks and scratches marred its body. Lu's jaw tightened. You, in shock, he muttered to himself. You used Belphegor clones, mid-duplication, as shields? Gigyu's eyes widened. Belphegor? He whispered. Brunhart mirrored him. Are they waking up? All of them? Lu shook his head, inwardly cursing. No, don't tell me what he's about to do. Paimon, ever calm, tilted his head. As expected of Lord Lucifer, your instincts are sharp. And just like that, fear flashed through Lu. He quickly linked back to Gigyu. Lu? Gigyu asked. Run, Lu barked. But it was already too late. The Belphegor clones, skins and all, exploded in a massive shockwave aimed straight at Gigyu. He barely managed to shield his face with his hands, groaning under the impact. Master! Brunhart shouted, panic in her voice. Lu clenched his teeth. Damn it, it's too late. Gigyu gritted his own teeth. Why? I tried to activate hyperacceleration just now. Brunhart blinked. It just stopped. Lu cursed under his breath. I was careless. The moment we encountered him, we should have withdrawn. Panic, it slipped my judgment. He's the greatest blacksmith in all of hell. The domains he creates, sealing a ruler-level authority, easy for him. Gigyu's eyes narrowed. Wait, didn't you say he was fake? Lu growled. I was talking about his mind, not his abilities. Those are real. And then it got worse. The remains of the exploded Belphegor skins had liquefied, manipulated by Paimon. Streams of black, semi-solid demonic matter shot toward Gigyu. He summoned his death sword and slashed through the liquid, cutting it clean in two. For a moment, he thought he had it under control. Wrong. The liquid reformed. It twisted, reshaped itself, and slithered toward him like a rope with a mind of its own. Pain shot through his body as it wrapped and crept along him. Gah! Gigyu groaned. Master! Lu and Brunhart yelled in panic. Lu barked to Brunhart. Open the gate. We need El, now. But even as Brunhart tried, the gate refused to budge. Lu's lips pressed together in frustration. He planned for this. The connection to Eden was cut. The link to El severed. In other words, everything just got exponentially worse. Lu's mind raced. How far has he calculated this, Paimon? Paimon's calm voice echoed through the chamber. I've heard of Bug-Bug's special link ability, a vessel capable of containing you, Michael, and countless others. Under normal circumstances, no one could even scratch it. But, Lord Lucifer, not long ago you devoured Belphegor and Leviathan, yes? There's no way you haven't had time to digest them. And yet you remain in this childlike form, perhaps restraining yourself for the sake of balance. You've changed, Lord Lucifer. Lu gritted his teeth, muttering, "Bastard." Meanwhile, Gigyu struggled in pain as the chaotic energies battered him. Lu continued, coldly observant. "It's mixing. My personality, the fragments that once descended into your body. Memories that should have been erased, now blend into your vessel." Lu's eyes widened as he noticed something behind him. "Master," he muttered, seeing Gigyu's soul bound, unconscious, trailing behind him like a shadow. The implication was terrifying. That fragment of Paimon's personality could surface at any moment. And then Gigyu's aura shifted. His eyes glowed a deep, ominous purple. At the same time, somewhere in the same underground tunnels, Kshatriya was trailing Gigyu. He paused, sensing the change. This is... Without hesitation, Kshatriya accelerated, zooming toward Gigyu's location in an instant. Somewhere far away from all the chaos, things looked calm on the surface. A warm cup of coffee was gently placed on the table and pushed toward Heisuk by Mr. Huang, like this was just another normal day and not the universe acting up again. He breaks the silence and drops the bomb casually, telling her that Gigyu's link has just been cut. Heisuk barely reacts. She takes it in, nods, and goes, "Yeah, that's Gigyu's human ego we're talking about." Honestly, they saw this coming. Not the outcome they wanted, obviously, but still one of the worst-case scenarios they had already listed somewhere in their things that could ruin our lives folder. Still, she frowns and reminds Mr. Huang that he said the chances of the link getting cut again were supposed to be really low. Mr. Huang sighs like a tired genius who already did the math. Yeah, it was low. That method only worked once, and they had stacked countermeasures on countermeasures after that. The only reason it succeeded the first time was because Gigi was stuck on the 60th floor. Now he's on the same planet as them. Cutting the link under normal conditions should be straight up impossible. So Heisuk leans back and says, basically this means whatever did this isn't normal. Mr. Huang nods. Yep, exactly. And worse, his gut agrees with it. Not just any gut feeling either, but the kind that comes from being his heir. That kind of intuition doesn't just wake up for no reason. He mutters under his breath, wondering what on earth happened, and more importantly, what Paimon did this time. Now we jump straight into chaos mode. Outside the tower in China, Tao Chen is already going all out. His spear blade lights up, fully charged with his power, and his eyes glow blue like someone just flipped the final boss switch. He swings his spear in an extermination-style attack and charges forward, aiming straight for the heavenly demon. Except she doesn't bother blocking. She vanishes, like gone. In less than a second, she reappears behind him, moving so fast it's basically cheating, and casually says, "Not bad." Tao Chen hears her voice behind him and freezes for half a heartbeat. Big mistake. But to his credit, he recovers fast, twists around, and swings his spear at her again. And this is where things get disrespectful. She catches the spear mid-air with one hand, bare hand, no effort. Tao Chen's expression instantly changes from determined warrior to, yeah, this is bad. She flicks the spear aside and smiles, telling him he got sloppy. Then her leg comes out of nowhere and slams into his chin and neck, completely catching him off guard. Tao Chen drops like a sack of rice, crashing face first into the ground, barely able to move. Standing over him, she actually compliments him. Even now, she says, he hasn't let go of his weapon, calls him a true model warrior. Respectful words, but the timing is cruel. She lowers her leg like she's about to finish things, but then suddenly her body weakens. She stays standing, but something is clearly wrong. Tao Chen is still down, but she spits out blood and wipes her mouth, clearly annoyed. A model warrior, huh? She mutters, grinding her teeth. Veins pop on her face, her eyes darken to a deep red, and she curses under her breath. Even now, that idiot still won't hand over control. That's when she stops pretending.
Demon wings burst out, demon horns appear, the air shifts instantly. She sneers and says, "What model warrior? The weak are nothing more than things meant to be trampled." She rises into the air, points a finger at Tao Chen, and her fire aura flares violently. One word leaves her mouth: die. She flicks her finger and a massive wave of fire explodes downward, rushing toward Tao Chen with full force like the sky itself just lost patience. Back underground, things aren't any better. Paimon suddenly finds himself lifted off the ground by his neck, choking as someone grips him like a rag doll. A cold voice calls him a lowly demon. Paimon struggles desperately, gasping in pain, trying to break free. The one holding him is Kshatriya. His veins bulge as he tightens his grip and demands an explanation. He wants to know what exactly is going on right now. Paimon can barely breathe, let alone answer, and only manages painful groans while thinking to himself just how terrifying this man really is. Nearby, Gigyu is changing. He groans in pain, clutching himself like he's fighting something inside. His eyes glow dark purple, and it's clear the demon within him is pushing back hard. Lu panics and shouts for Gigyu to hold on. Brunhart joins in, yelling that he must not turn into some foul-tempered monster like Lu. Lu instantly snaps back, offended, asking, "What did she just call me?" But it's already too late. Gigyu's eyes suddenly widen, his expression shifts completely. The demon has taken control. Without hesitation, he launches himself toward Kshatriya. Kshatriya barely has time to react. He sees the punch coming and blurts out a shocked, "What?" before Gigyu's fist slams into him, sending him flying across the room and smashing into the wall. His grip breaks and Paimon drops to the ground. Gigyu exhales slowly, then laughs. Not a normal laugh, a monster's laugh. He looks around and says, "Well, well, this is a feast." Outside the tower again, the heavenly demon lands and clicks her tongue, clearly unimpressed. She calls the whole thing a waste of time as the smoke from her explosion clears. And then she freezes. Tao Chen is still alive. Broken, shaking, barely standing, but alive. He forces himself onto his feet, breathing heavily, struggling to stay upright, his body screaming in protest. The heavenly demon stares at him in shock. Tao Chen looks up at her and growls through the pain. It's not over yet.
So yeah, while things looked calm for exactly 5 seconds, the tower suddenly decided to throw a tantrum. The whole place started shaking like an actual earthquake, walls rumbling like they were about to collapse, and then, boom! Kshatriya came flying out of the tower like a missile, clutching Paimon by the neck like he was late for a flight and needed to grab something on the way out. Mid-air, Kshatriya was already pissed. He muttered to himself, annoyed and suspicious, wondering if Gigyu had already been eaten by some demon. The thought clearly didn't sit right with him. A small-time demon doing something that big? Yeah, no. In his mind, that was ridiculous, almost insulting. He even thought it might be better to spare the demon's life, which says a lot about how unimpressed he was. He landed behind one of the griffin birds, barely steadying himself when a violent wind blasted up from below. It hit him so hard it felt like a jet had just zoomed past his face. At this point, the day was clearly not cooperating. Now cut back to Tao Chen. The guy was still breathing like he had just run 10 marathons back to back, sweat everywhere, lungs begging for mercy. Even then, he muttered, "It's not over yet." And right on cue, his right eye started glowing blue like it just unlocked a new feature. Inside his head, memories flashed. He thought about when Bodis showed up at the Gangnam station gate. And then came the painful question, what was I even doing back then? Because clearly he missed something important. The heavenly demon noticed all of this, and honestly looked more annoyed than impressed. She stared at him and asked, almost offended, "How persistent are you?" Then she added the real insult. "What are you, a bug?" Her eyes glowed red, flames dancing at her fingertips. No warning, no countdown. She unleashed a massive blast straight at him. Tao Chen tried to block it with his rod staff, but let's be real, that was a lie, he told himself. The attack smashed into him like a truck. He got sent flying backward and crashed straight into a building. Everything exploded into dust and fog like a dramatic movie scene that would definitely cost millions in damages. But here's the thing. Tao Chen wasn't done. Inside that thick fog, he was still breathing,
still alive, still angry. He questioned himself again, wondering when the enemies had infiltrated Eden and what he was doing when it happened. Deep inside the dust cloud, his feet shifted. He stood up, gripping his rod staff tightly. His eyes were sharp, focused, and full of bad intentions. This was the look of someone who had officially run out of patience and was ready to ruin someone's day. The heavenly demon sensed it and paused. She tilted her head, unimpressed. "Boring," she said. She claimed she didn't have a hobby of playing with prey she had already caught, basically saying, struggle all you want, it won't matter. She closed her eyes and turned away like the fight was already over. Big mistake. She suddenly felt something strange behind her, an aura, heavy, wrong. She turned back and stared into the fog, and that's when Tao Chen spoke. "I told you." His voice was calm but dangerous. Energy surged through him, blue and wild, flowing straight into his rod staff. Behind him, a massive dragon shadow revealed itself, coiling and looming like a nightmare. That was his way of saying, yeah, this is still happening. He dashed forward, instantly. His speed was insane. The dragon shadow closed in, almost swallowing the distance between them. The heavenly demon's eyes widened. Before she could fully react, Tao Chen appeared right next to her. The dragon shadow faded and he aimed his sharp-headed rod staff straight at her, trying to pierce through her. She barely blocked it in time, and even then she looked shocked, like, wait, where did we get here? Tao Chen didn't give her time to complain. He activated his exterminate skill. His movements turned into flashes of light as he attacked relentlessly, aiming for her body and wings over and over. She tried to block, but it was getting harder to keep up. When it became too much, she flew upward, irritated, saying she had already seen this kind of attack before. But then she froze. Something felt wrong. Her body wouldn't move. She panicked as she realized what was happening. The real soul of the body she had stolen was holding her down from inside, fighting back with everything it had. A voice echoed, telling her this was as far as she would go. Her eyes widened as she struggled, furious and desperate. She cursed under her breath, angry that she lost control at the worst possible moment. And Tao Chen did not waste that chance. He lifted his rod staff, the sharp head glowing blue with terrifying power. The heavenly demon panicked for real this time. She knew she couldn't handle this attack. Fear hit her hard as she wondered if this was really how she would die, at the hands of a human, a mere human at that. And then it happened. Tao Chen swung. The spatial slash tore through her clean and merciless, slicing her body into two pieces. No escape, no miracle. Right after, the system notification appeared. It declared that Tao Chen had surpassed his limits and grasped the clue. He had taken one step closer to the rank of a ruler. Once all conditions were met, his rank would rise. Class change, ruler. 3 of 1.
Back underground in the tower, Gigyu was standing there smiling. Not a friendly smile either. This was the kind of smile that says, yeah, someone's about to have a really bad day. His eyes had turned dark purple, glowing like a full-on demon, and death energy was leaking out of him like it was on sale. He raised his hand and released the power of death, shaping it into a massive shadow claw. The claw rushed straight toward the Belphegor replica, which was still trying desperately to regenerate. Poor thing barely had time to exist again before Gigyu shattered the glass around it and straight up devoured the replica. No hesitation, no mercy, just chomp. Right after that, the system popped up like, yep, this just happened. System notification. Kim Gigyu has activated Canny. And honestly, things only got worse from there. Dark purple aura poured out of Gigyu non-stop, like he just unlocked a forbidden power-up. He started laughing, loud and wild, full demon laughter, the kind that makes you question every life choice. Bernhardt freaked out immediately, yelling at him to stop, begging him not to become like Lu, basically saying, please don't turn into that guy. Lu, meanwhile, was desperately trying to reach Gigyu through their connection, calling out to him over and over, Master, can you hear me? Answer me. He kept telling him that he could control the power as long as he stayed calm and kept his mind clear. But nah, Gigyu wasn't listening. The demon side was hyping him up way too hard. He felt stronger than ever, drunk on power, and reason had officially left the chat. That didn't last long, though. Kshatriya suddenly appeared and dropped Paimon onto the ground like an unwanted package. He looked straight at Gigyu and calmly asked if he could hear his voice. At the same time, outside the tower, another system notification appeared. Once all conditions are fulfilled, your status will increase. Job advancement, ruler, 1 of 3. Elsewhere, Tao Chen was completely exhausted. The guy looked like his body was one bad breath away from shutting down. He staggered, collapsed to the ground, then forced himself up onto his knees. Even then, he muttered that the war wasn't over yet. Stubborn till the end, respect. Back underground, Kshatriya stood face to face with Gigyu, whose body was clearly being taken over by demonic power. Gigyu smiled again, eyes glowing, and said something absolutely unhinged. He asked if Kshatriya had come back just to be devoured by him. Like, wow, the confidence, the audacity. Kshatriya stayed calm, but internally he was confused. The balance of power had definitely been disturbed by demonic energy, but it didn't feel completely out of control. Something was off. Then Lu's voice came through a communication channel. He explained that for now he was suppressing the demonic energy. He told Kshatriya that he was right, because Lu was sharing the burden and enduring it together with Gigyu. The remaining demonic energy was still within a level Gigyu could handle. Kshatriya asked for a clearer explanation, calling him Archdeacon, which Lu immediately shut down. He told him not to use weird titles and said his name was Lu. Very offended, very serious. Lu admitted he didn't fully understand the situation either. It was dangerous, yes, but with Gigyu's mental strength, he should be able to overcome it. Then he paused and realized something important way too late. He said he had been so focused on the demonic energy that he missed the real issue. Right now, Gigyu just found everything annoying. Kshatriya blinked. What? Lu explained that Belphegor was the king of sloth. The demonic energy itself wasn't the main issue. The real danger was the emotional power Gigyu was carrying. He was in a state where everything felt like a massive bother. Fighting, thinking, existing, all of it. Basically, Gigyu was in peak, I'm done with this nonsense mode, and that was terrifying. Meanwhile, far away in Seoul, Korea, Eden looked calm and peaceful. Too calm. Then suddenly, boom, an explosion hit the Eden wall. Mr. Huang inside Eden immediately realized what was happening and shouted that Eden was under attack. Yuban, also inside Eden, wasn't even surprised. She calmly said that in the end it was finally happening. And then she mentioned Ha Song-soo, like this was something they all knew was coming eventually. Back in China, inside the tower, Bernhardt looked at Gigyu in horror and said that his master had become a terrible person. No filter, just straight pain. Lu cursed under his breath. He realized that ever since Asmodeus, the enemies had been targeting Gigyu's human side. After the last raid on Eden, they must have figured out that fighting head-on wasn't working. There had to be another way to resolve this mess, because whatever this was, it was dangerous. Then, inside Gigyu's inner realm, something moved. A chain rattled. Gigyu stood there inside his own realm, calm and quiet, lost in thought, but he noticed movement behind him and turned slightly, confused. That's when Jupiter spoke. He called out to Kim Gigyu. Jupiter was bound, arms and legs chained, but his voice was steady. He told Gigyu that it was time for them to become one. Back in the tower, Gigyu and Kshatriya were still standing face to face, the tension thick enough to choke someone. Kshatriya suddenly noticed something strange and frowned. Gigyu had stopped moving completely. No wild aura, no reckless energy spilling everywhere. Kshatriya narrowed his eyes. What is happening? Is he controlling his energy? That feeling hit him like déjà vu. Something about it felt familiar, almost too familiar. A name surfaced in his mind and he muttered it under his breath, confused and unsure. Lupitor? At that moment, Paimon burst out laughing like he had just heard the best joke of his life. Loud, annoying, absolutely shameless laughter. Kshatriya looked at him with a silent, "Why are you like this?" stare. Paimon waved it off and said it was a mistake, but a pleasant one. Then he went on one of his usual long speeches, mentioning Kung Fu, the legend of Bodhidharma, the one who deals with the chaos of life and death and the power of order. He said it was an honor to meet Kronos, and admitted he was truly lucky. Way too proud of himself for someone who was technically in trouble. Kshatriya was still trying to process all of this, while Paimon just kept talking. He bragged that no matter how many precautions he put in place, he never imagined someone of Kshatriya's level wouldn't notice this. Then he casually dropped another bomb, saying Kshatriya's son must be very important to him. And as if that wasn't enough, Kshatriya suddenly felt something behind him. He turned, confused. And there it was, Leviathan. Back inside Gigyu's inner realm, Lupitor spoke again, calling out to Kim Gigyu and telling him it was time to become one. Gigyu didn't get it at all and just stood there confused. Lupitor sighed, clearly disappointed, and then did the unthinkable. He kicked Gigyu in the butt. Gigyu let out a painful groan, clutching himself and yelling in pain, while Lupitor asked if that finally knocked some sense into him. He reminded Gigyu that he was the one who suggested working together in the first place. Looking extremely annoyed, Lupitor clicked his tongue and grabbed Gigyu by the shirt. He warned him seriously that this was his last chance. If Gigyu showed even one more pathetic side of himself, Lupitor would stop cooperating and straight up take over his body. No negotiations, no mercy. Back in the real world, Paimon laughed again, clearly enjoying the situation way too much. Between Gigyu's hands and Kshatriya's was a heart core, incomplete but still terrifying. Paimon admitted that this was a mistake he couldn't laugh off, especially considering that Leviathan had been erased in a single blow. Lu's voice reached Gigyu then, asking if he had come back to his senses. Bernhard called out too, worried and tense. Gigyu suddenly reacted and said, "No, something is off." Kshatriya looked straight into his eyes and said the name again, Lupitor. Lupitor didn't respond outwardly. Instead, inside Gigyu's mind, he closed his eyes and told Gigyu that the rest was his to handle. He let go of the hardcore in Kshatriya's hands and immediately collapsed, falling straight down. The connection sparked as Lu revealed himself, rushing to Gigyu's side and trying to wake him up. He asked if Gigyu was all right, while Bernhard joined in, panicking and asking the same thing. Gigyu finally stirred and weakly muttered Lu's name. Lu sighed in relief and said it looked like Gigyu received some help. Then his tone turned serious. He told Gigyu to listen carefully because there was something important he needed to hear. He asked if Gigyu remembered what he came here to do. Gigyu was confused. Lu explained everything. Gigyu had shown off his strength at the Shaolin Temple. The moment the battle started, he ran into Paimon. Then he was consumed by demonic energy the entire time, and the whole mess only got resolved because of Lupitor. Gigyu agreed, thinking that was it. Then Lu hit him with the emotional damage. He told Gigyu straight up that he came all this way and accomplished absolutely nothing. Those words hit harder than any attack. Gigyu felt it sink in completely. After a few seconds, Gigyu walked over to Kshatriya and bowed slightly, respectfully calling him Grand Master. He asked Kshatriya to stay there for a moment and keep watch just in case Paimon tried anything funny. Everyone stared at him in shock. Gigyu then calmly said he would go finish the war first and come back. No big speech, no drama, just confidence. He even added that he'd be back before the tea got cold.
"Grandmaster, stay here for a bit and keep an eye on things," Gigyu said calmly, like he wasn't about to speed run a whole war. "Make sure Paimon doesn't try any funny business. I'll finish this mess and come back." Then he casually summoned his death sword, activated acceleration, and added, "I'll be back before the tea even gets cold." Before anyone could say anything, boom, he was gone. Straight up disappeared like Flash on caffeine. 1 second he was there, the next second just air. Kshatriya and Paimon could only stand there staring at the empty space like, did this guy just rage quit reality? Once Gigyu was fully out of sight, Kshatriya chuckled. Oh, he's really in a hurry. Then his smile faded a bit as he muttered to himself. Impatience is usually how one ends up getting eaten by their inner demons. Still, no need to worry. His eyes narrowed slightly. It looks like he's already started handling God's power. He turned toward Paimon and stared at him like someone looking at trash on the road. "Demon," he said flatly, "aren't you supposed to be our enemy? You've been unusually quiet." Paimon frowned. "First of all," he said with clear annoyance, "I'd appreciate it if you call me Paimon, not Demon. I have a name." Then he sighed and continued. "Yes, it's true, I stand against all of you, but right now there's no other option. I'm the type who plans ahead and stays prepared." He shrugged. "That said, even I don't have the power to clean up a plan that's gone this far off the rails. Once something leaves my control, I don't cling to it. Simple." Kshatriya thought to himself that trying to understand demons was a waste of brain cells. Anyway, if it were up to him, he'd wipe out every demon standing there without blinking. But if Gigyu was around, things are different.
Gigyu could take them in, digest their individual powers. Letting them live might actually be the smarter move. His gaze drifted upward. Loopy, he thought quietly, do you still resent me? High above the tower in the open sky, Gigyu hovered mid-air with his dark dragon wings spread wide. From up there he could see everything clearly. Down below, the Shaolin Temple was in chaos. Do not split up, the Shaolin abbot shouted to his students. Deploy the combined attack formation. The demons, on the other hand, were having the time of their lives. Bah-ha-ha-ha-ha, one of them laughed. Kill them all! Their attack suddenly intensified, pushing the Shaolins back hard. The abbot gritted his teeth. Damn it, the longer this drags on, the worse it gets for us. They were fighting people they recognized, bodies stolen, twisted into demons. Every strike hurt their resolve. And worse, the possessed humans were adapting, growing stronger as the battle went on. Then the abbot noticed something far above, a tiny figure in the sky. Sir Mo? He muttered, confused. Is he done with whatever he went to do? If he joins now, victory might finally tilt our way. But before he could focus on it, the figure vanished in a blink. What? The abbot muttered. Did I imagine that? He had no idea that Gigyu was already behind him, floating silently in mid-air, just a little above. Lu appeared beside Gigyu and asked casually, Master, how's your body holding up? Gigyu frowned slightly. I'm still out of balance. Earlier, it felt like my vessel was about to shatter from the pain. Then he paused. But at the same time, some massive power keeps restoring it. Lu nodded. That's God's power. Can you handle it? Gigyu shook his head. No, it's not something I can truly control. Saving Yuban was a miracle. He remembered what the system told him. He could only use God's power temporarily. But still, he said as he watched the demons attacking the Shaolins, even after using hyper-acceleration this much, there's no burden on my body. His eyes sharpened. It feels like God's power is activating on its own. And right then, it happened. Every demon was hit at the same time. No warning, no visible attack, just boom, like invisible ghosts beat them senseless. They collapsed to the ground instantly. Tao Chen and the abbot stared in shock. The demons? Tao Chen muttered. They're all down? Something like this shouldn't even be possible. Then they saw him. Gigyu hovered in the air behind them, calm as ever. Two of his fingers glowed faintly as the system notification appeared. Acupressure strike. By pinpointing an opponent's vessels, you can paralyze or knock them unconscious. Lu whistled. Crude, but efficient. Did you learn that while linked with Kronos? Yeah, with this I can subdue them without killing them. Lu raised an eyebrow. Why bother? You used to kill every demon you saw. Gigyu answered quietly. Before, there was no way to turn them back into humans. Even with your power as the ruler of demonic arts and El's authority as the angel leader, it was impossible. He clenched his glowing fingers. But now that I've obtained God's power, maybe it's possible. Lu sighed. Seriously, I thought you were finally getting colder, and now you're saying soft-hearted nonsense again. Still, Lu knew the truth. That side of Gigyu is exactly what drove his growth. Duality. Slowly, Gigyu was starting to resemble a god in nature. The abbot snapped him back to reality. Sir Mo, is the war over? Not yet. For now, bind the fallen demons and gather them in one place. Understood, the abbot said immediately. Gigyu muttered under his breath. Next is the barrier covering this territory. Lu nodded. That's Paimon's territory. If you defeat him in a territory war like last time, you'll obtain the space barrier core. A few minutes later, underground beneath the tower, Paimon was already holding the space barrier core out with both hands. I'll give it to you, he said quickly. I don't want to die, you know. Gigyu stared at him, completely confused. So Kshatriya starts talking about everything that happened in China. He basically goes, honestly, the results I brought back from China aren't bad at all. And the guy sounded pretty satisfied, too, like someone who just came back from a trip with unexpected upgrades. First thing he mentions is the Grand Master. Apparently, he managed to connect with him. Now the relationship between them is still a bit confusing. It is not exactly friendship, not exactly partnership either. More like that awkward situation where two powerful people are standing in the same room, pretending they totally trust each other while secretly washing each other's hands.
But depending on how things go, this connection could turn into something really big. If things work out, Kshatriya might have gained an ally whose combat power is even higher than Lu and El. Yes, Lu and El, and those two are already monsters in battle, so imagine someone even stronger. That alone is already a huge deal. Then there's the other thing he got from the Grandmaster's room. God's power. Yeah, that kind of power. Right now, he still doesn't fully understand how to use it properly, but once he learns to control it, it could become something completely different from the usual powers like life, death, or chaos. It might have totally unique abilities, maybe something so ridiculous that it could literally create miracles. And when you hear that word, miracle, you already know things are getting serious. But that wasn't the only strange encounter. There was also his meeting with Paimon. And honestly, Kshatriya still cannot tell if that meeting will turn into a blessing or a huge disaster waiting to explode later. Now, fast forward to Gigyu. Gigyu suddenly calls out Paimon directly and says he's going to take him down. No hesitation, no long speech, just straight business. He points his sword at Paimon and says he will claim the space barrier core. Simple plan, stab the demon, take the core, go home. Except things did not go the way he expected. Instead of fighting back like a terrifying demon king, Paimon just stands there holding the core and says he will give it to him. Yes, just like that. He even smiles and says he doesn't want to die. He hopes Gigyu can understand him. Gigyu just freezes for a second and goes, "Huh?" You can practically hear the confusion in his brain. Like, bro, I came here ready for a boss fight and you are surrendering like a guy who forgot his wallet at the restaurant. Now, rewind a few minutes earlier. Outside the tower, the Shaolin abbot was shouting orders at the top of his lungs. The old man was extremely serious. Make sure you restrain them properly. Do not let your guard down. His Shaolin students were moving quickly, doing exactly what they were told. Everyone was on high alert. What they did not know was that Gigyu was already there. Yep, the guy was literally behind them the whole time. If awareness was a school subject, those monks just failed the exam badly. Gigyu watches everything from above and quietly asks Lu, "Are you sure it's okay to kill Paimon?" Lu answers without hesitation, "Of course." To Lu, the space barrier core is not even that important. They don't actually need it. And if it really becomes necessary, they could even turn Paimon into an ego. But Lu still feels something strange about this whole situation. Too many things do not make sense. So he suggests something unexpected. Let's talk first. Yeah, talk. You know things are weird when the demon expert suggests diplomacy. Lu explains his reasoning. Even if they successfully turn Paimon into an ego, they'll still need time to prepare a proper vessel. That process takes time, so while they have the chance, it's better to gather information first. Basically, if someone is offering free answers, you'd be pretty dumb not to ask questions. And Lu adds something interesting. If this is really the same Paimon he remembers, then the demon might actually be more reasonable than people think. Gigyu hears that and thinks to himself that he did hear about this before, but still he never expected Paimon to cooperate this easily. I mean, seriously, this level of cooperation is suspiciously polite for a demon. Now, back to the present moment. Gigyu's sword is already under Paimon's chin. One wrong move and the demon's head could roll on the floor. But Paimon stays calm. He looks at Gigyu and says, "If there is anything you are curious about, ask me. Ask as much as you want. I will answer with complete sincerity." Gigyu is confused. Very confused. So he calls Lu mentally. The two of them start communicating through their minds. Gigyu asks Lu, "What are the chances this is some kind of trap?" Lu thinks about it and replies that it's not very likely. According to Lu, Paimon is definitely a clever demon, very shrewd. But strangely, he's also the type who prefers to be fair and square, which honestly makes him a pretty weird demon. Gigyu then reminds Lu of something. "Wait, didn't you say earlier that this Paimon was fake?" Lu sighs a little and explains. The reason he said that is because the Paimon standing in front of them is currently under Andras's mind control, so technically the mind controlling him right now is fake. But that doesn't mean his true nature disappears. No matter how powerful Andras's ability is, even he cannot completely twist the true nature of a great demon from the Nine Thrones. In other words, you can control the mind, but the soul underneath still stays the same. And when you're dealing with a demon like Paimon, that truth matters a lot. Right at that moment, Kshatriya spoke up again. Well, at least now we know for sure. He's definitely a strange one, even if that appearance of his is fake. Honestly, that was probably the most polite way to describe Paimon. The guy was acting so weird that even demons would probably look at him and say, "Bro, what is wrong with you?" Lu then jumped in and said to Gigyu, "All right, Master, listen carefully. Just ask him exactly what I tell you to ask him. Don't improvise, just follow my lead." And just like that, the questioning began. Gigyu looked straight at Paimon and started firing questions like a detective who had been waiting all day to interrogate a suspect. "Paimon, how are you still alive?"
Then he continued immediately, without even giving the demon time to breathe. "Were you the one who replicated Leviathan and Belphegor? How exactly did Andras resurrect you? And what is he planning?" Yeah, that was not one question. That was a whole interrogation package. Paimon looked at him and suddenly smiled brightly, like a cheerful teacher about to explain something simple. "You really have a lot of questions," he said. "Let's see. First, regarding Andras." But before he could even finish his sentence, something went terribly wrong. Suddenly, Paimon spat out blood. Not just a little, it came out violently, like his body was rejecting something inside him. Even Paimon looked shocked by it. His eyes widened in disbelief as his body lost strength. The next thing everyone saw was him collapsing to his knees. Gigyu immediately shouted, "Paimon!" Lu also reacted instantly. "What the hell?" Brunhard looked stunned and yelled, "He collapsed!" Gigyu stared in confusion. Nothing about this made sense. "What is happening?" he asked in shock. "Did he just kill himself?" Still unsure, Gigyu quickly stepped closer to Paimon. He grabbed the demon's shoulder, trying to check what exactly was going on. Before anyone could figure it out, Kshatriya spoke from behind them. "This is a restriction." The moment Lu heard that, he exploded in frustration. "Damn it! This is Andras's doing!" Lu immediately understood what had happened. "Andras placed a restriction on him," Lu explained. "It prevents Paimon from revealing any information about Andras." Basically, the moment Paimon tried to talk about Andras, the restriction activated and started destroying his body. Talk about a terrifying insurance policy. Lu quickly turned serious and said to Gigyu, "Master, you need to decide right now. If this continues, he will either die or become a complete idiot." In other words, the longer they waited, the more useless Paimon would become. Gigyu looked down at the dying demon. Paimon was kneeling there, coughing blood, barely able to stay conscious. Gigyu slowly pulled back his sword. "So in the end, we have no choice," he said. "We kill him and turn him into an ego." His voice was calm, no hesitation. Gigyu was already ready to do it. He lifted his sword and prepared to drive it straight through Paimon. But just before the blade could strike, a voice suddenly spoke. "Wait a moment." Gigyu's sword stopped instantly. The blade was already touching the surface of Paimon's clothes. Just one more tiny movement and the demon would have been dead. Then Lu muttered quietly, almost amused, "Oh dear, so you are not a fake after all. Are you the real one, Paimon?" At that moment, something about Paimon completely changed. The atmosphere around him shifted to an entirely different level. It was like the weak and dying demon from a few seconds ago suddenly became something far more terrifying. And right then, the system notification appeared. The unofficial territory war has been approved as an official territory war. Demon Paimon declares surrender. The rewards agreed upon beforehand have been confirmed. The temporary territory has been dismantled. Just like that, the war ended. Outside the tower, the red space barrier that had been covering the sky suddenly began to crack and shatter. Piece by piece, the red sky disappeared. Abbot and Tao Chen both looked up in shock. "The sky," the abbot muttered. "It's returning to normal," Tao Chen said, still staring upward. Both of them could hardly believe it. Is it really over? Nearby, Brunhard suddenly shouted happily, "Master, Master, it's coming back!" And he could feel it clearly, the connection with Eden. The link that had been cut was finally returning. Meanwhile, far away in Korea,
Inside Eden, the situation there was not looking good at all. Yubin and Sojung were lying on the ground unconscious. Their bodies were weak and beaten badly. They could barely move. Someone had clearly defeated them. From the darkness, a man slowly stepped forward. His face was still hidden in the shadows. He looked up towards the sky and muttered quietly, "So, he is finally coming." Then he spoke the name slowly, Gigyu. The man continued staring upward as if he had been waiting for this moment for a very long time. And honestly, the way he said Gigyu's name did not sound friendly at all. Not even a little. It sounded more like the beginning of another big problem.